A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Dig down deep now, America. The deeper you dig now, the deeper the hole you put Hitler in. Back the attack. Buy war bonds till it hurts, and then some.
What is a reigning beauty?
A girl who's all wet.
Correct. Pay that man $8. If 4 frankfurters cost 10 cents, what is 500?
Baloney.
Correct. Pay that man $9 because...
It pays to be ignorant. Once again, Peel's, brewers of New York's own extra premium beer, bring you their special educational feature, It Pays to Be Ignorant. Presided over by that famous scholar, historian, and Cracker Jack prize collector, a member of the team of Howard and Sheldon, Tom Howard.
Thank you. Thank you, Bruce Elliott, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, here we are with that daffy quiz program again, with a board of experts who are such bores they make termites look like amateurs. Because I'm too lazy to work, I have to introduce them to you. First, we have the celebrated author, Mr. Harry McNaughton, who has just written a book entitled How to Kiss a Girl Without Removing Your Cigar, or Hot Lips I Have Known. Here he is, Mr. Harry McNaughton.
Thank you. Mr. Howard, I have a poem. As I was going to St. Ives, I met a man with 7 wives. Each wife had 7 cats. Each cat had 7 kits.
Okay.
I wonder what a man wants with so many cats.
All right.
Imagine having to put all those cats out every night.
Yeah, that's quite a job, but let's forget about it. Don't worry about it, Mr. McNaughton. Next, we have a woman who was known in her younger days as the Belle of the Brawl. A woman so wide she could only walk down one-way streets. Here she is, Miss Lola McConnell.
You know, Mr. Howard, I never realized until the other day how few people live in California.
What makes you think there are so few people living in California?
Well, my cousin Bertie's out there, and I just got a letter from her.
I see.
And she says it's so cold out there, everybody sleeps under 2 blankets.
I see.
You know, you can't get many people under 2 blankets.
Miss McConnell, if you ever find a place where they give brain transfusions, be sure and get one. Next, we have a man who is so lazy, he rolls under the dresser every morning and waits for the collar button to find him. A man who only works because he is too nervous to steal. Here he is, Mr. George Shelton.
You know, Mr. Howard, I had a tooth pulled out today. See this one here, right here.
All right.
Where?
That one there, can you see
I
it?
don't see it.
Of course you can't see it. I had it pulled out.
All right.
Well, no wonder I can't see it.
No.
Did you take gas?
I should say not. I'm allergic to gas. Makes me dopey.
Makes you dopey. You must have taken an overdose when you were a baby, Mr. Sheldon. Now we come to the most amusing part of these introductions, the part where I tell you we have music on the program. Then in the same breath, I call your attention to the corn cobblers. Here they are. Thank you. Now that we have all the cows in the barn, we'll get right on with the program. The first question tonight comes from a Miss Davies of Belrose, Long Island. Her question is, what beverage do we get from tea leaves? Did you get that, Mr. McNaughton?
I beg pardon?
I say, did you get it?
Was I supposed to get it?
What do you mean, were you supposed to get it?
Well, when you said what beverage do we get from tea leaves, I thought you were speaking to all of us.
I mean, did you get the question?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't hear the question.
You didn't hear that? You just repeated it.
I did? Wasn't that clever of me?
Yes, well.
Yes, very clever. Reminds me of the time I went fishing.
What's fishing got to do with it?
There I was out in the ocean. Oh, it was a beautiful day. Yes, and there in the distance of the cool green water was a lone shark.
You know, those guys will follow you any place.
Those guys.
Did he have the sheriff with it?
No, this was a man-eating shark.
I guess that's what happened to the sheriff.
That's what happened to the sheriff. All right. Listen, you 3 civilian secrets. We have a question here. What beverage do we get from tea leaves?
I had my fortune told by tea leaves, Mr. Howard.
By tea leaves.
Uh-huh. And
Who
you know
cares?
what she told me?
No.
She said I was going to meet a tall, dark, handsome man.
Uh-huh.
And he was going to take me in his arms and kiss me.
Yeah.
Think of it.
Yeah. Miss McConnell, that will never happen.
I know, but think of it.
Think of it.
Well, you ever kiss, Miss McConnell?
Oh, sure. Sadie Rice's little boy kissed me the other day.
Yeah, he's probably teething and he has to bite something, Miss McConnell.
Oh, yay? Well, listen, bonehead. I just wish I was your wife. I'd make you miserable for the rest of your life.
Miss McConnell, if you were my wife, I wouldn't want to live the rest of my life.
You better look out what you say about me, or I'll bring my old man up here and beat you over the head with it.
No, No. The question is, and was, and always will be, what beverage do we get from tea leaves? Mr. Sheldon, do you drink tea?
No, I never drink anything stronger than pop.
I see.
And Pop will drink anything.
Pop.
I say, you people are making me thirsty.
All right, well, drink a glass of milk, Mr. McNaughton. It's good for your blood.
Oh, I'm not bloodthirsty.
You're not bloodthirsty.
I drink milk, Mr. Howard. I drink milk from consented cows.
Isn't it easier to drink it from a glass?
Imagine lifting a cow up there.
Hey, milk can't be much good when the cows give it away.
Look, Mr. Elliott. Suppose we send Miss Davies $10.51 for a question.
With love and kisses from Fields, dear Mr. Howard?
Yes, you can say that also, Mr. Elliott. The question, the answer to it is, we get from tea leaves tea. Thank you, and now here is the next question.
Mr. Howard, did you know that right here in New York there's a theater that puts on plays that have been pleasing people for thousands of years?
Sure, Chinese theater right over next to the Manhattan Bridge.
Mr. Sheldon, how did you know there was a Chinese theater next to the Manhattan Bridge?
I used to go there to peek in.
You used to go there
That's very good, you know.
Yeah.
I know Pete's skill.
Yeah, that's a different place.
Different place.
Okay.
Yes, but you didn't get what I was going to say, Mr. Howard. What I was going to say was that while Peel's beer hasn't been keeping people happy for thousands of years, it's been keeping them extra happy for over 60 years. And that goes double today. You see, back in 1883, Peel's made the pledge to produce not the most beer, but the best beer, to keep the quality up. Sticking to this pledge is the chief reason why Peel's has become known as New York's own extra premium beer. And with that name to live up to, you can be sure Peel's is more than ever determined to keep the quality up today. Yes, in spite of wartime conditions. Of course, war restrictions may leave your food store or tavern short of Peel's on occasion, but only on rare occasions. So always ask for Peel's beer by name. Then you're sure of getting beer that's extra premium for velvety smoothness and crisp, clean flavor. Have some Peel's tonight. The beer that pays you extra premiums in pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. That was very well put. The next question, folks, is a musical question. It was sent in by Mr. Minnick of New York City. The Corn Cobblers will play a chorus of a very popular song. Mr. Minnick wants you to tell him the days in the week that are mentioned in this song. To help you with the question, I will sing the song.
You're going to sing?
Play Corn Cobblers.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Howard, but we ain't got no music.
Oh, well, that's all right. Just pretend you got the music. That will satisfy me.
Just pretend you sang it. That'll satisfy everybody.
All right. Will you give me a chord, Corn Cobbler?
Give him a rope.
Okay. Won't you tell me when we will meet again? Sunday, Monday, always. If you're satisfied.
I say that's a very pretty song, isn't it? I wonder how it would sound if someone was to sing it.
Monday,
That reminds me, I've got to have my valves ground this week.
Tell me now what makes the world go round.
You know, he has a lot of timber in his voice, hasn't he?
Sounds like splinters in his throat, too.
Is he imitating Andy Devine?
Well, if he is, there's nothing divine about it.
Monday and always.
Mr. Howard, you dropped your teeth.
Well, say, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Never mind. Now, what 2 days in the week did I mention in that song?
What song?
What? What song? The song I just finished singing.
Oh, was that singing?
Well, what did it sound like?
Oh, it sounded like whooping cough set to music.
Hoping. Now, please, what days were mentioned in the song, Sunday, Monday, or always?
Always. I never knew there was a day called Always. Really?
Mr. McNaughton, always is not a day in the week.
What is it, a holiday?
No. It's not a holiday.
Maybe it's one of those days that February doesn't have.
McNaughton, they say there's a fool born every minute.
Yeah.
When you were born, your mother must have increased the birth rate. I'm trying to find... Listen, haven't any of you ever heard of the song Sunday, Monday, or Always?
Oh, I have, Mr. Hart. I heard Bing Crosby sing it in Dixie.
Oh, you were in Dixie? When did you get back?
Oh, Bing Crosby's all right. Oh, but Frank Sinatra, he's my big.
Frank Sinatra.
Oh, when I hear him sing, my goose pimples get goose pimples.
Miss McConnell, you're old enough to be Frank Sinatra's grandmother.
Well, tell him to come up and see Grandma sometime.
Say, you know, Mr. Howard, I've just written a new song, and I dedicated it to my butcher.
Yeah, what's the name of it?
I've got plenty of nothing. I got nice melody.
You're telling me.
You know, I heard a nice Irish song today. Oh, let me see now. What was the name of that?
An Irish song?
Yeah.
Oh, don't you know the name of it?
Well, let me see. Don't rush me. Started with an Irish name. I know that. Now, what was that?
Well, was it Mike?
Mike? Oh, you mean Mike Country Thizzleby?
Mike.
No, that wasn't it. It was another Irish name. Wait, I got it. Kelly. There, started with Kelly.
Started with Kelly.
Mm.
Well, what was the name of the song?
California, here I come.
In Technicolor.
Mr. Sheldon, please. Why don't you have your brain recapped?
Won't that hurt us?
Look! Can I get the resemblance of an answer from you three-cylinder heads?
Well, maybe if I sang it, it'd help.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm having my voice cultivated.
You are. You should have it plowed under, Mr. Sheldon.
Yeah? Why, I got a voice like Grace Moore.
Do you have?
Yes.
Well, you better give it back to her. You're getting it all cracked.
Mr. Howard, you shouldn't say that about Miss McConnell's voice. Why, she has a tremendous obligato.
Yeah? Well, why don't you buy a new girdle, Mr.
You know, I'm quite a singer myself. I used to sing in Madison Square Garden.
Well, wait a minute. What did you ever sing in Madison Square Garden?
Peanut candy, popcorn, real fair. You can't tell a bottle cap without a program. Get the programs right there.
Look, Mr. Elliott, please. It looks like we've just come to a dead end again. Suppose we send Mr. Minnick $12.41 for his question.
With the best wishes of Peel's Beer, Mr. Howard?
Oh, yes. Okay, Mr. Wright. With the best wishes of Peel's Beer. The day mentioned in the song, the days, rather, are Sunday, Monday.
I say, don't forget always, Mr. Howard.
All right, and always. And now for the benefit. For the benefit of our uptown society, the Corn Cobblers will play Beethoven's Fifth Symphony.
Horsey, keep your tail up. Horsey, keep your tail up. Keep the sun out of my eyes. Horsey, keep your tail up. Horsey, keep your tail up. Never mind about the flies.
Well, your mane is long and your hair is slick. You really got an awful kick.
Whoa, horsey, keep your tail up. Horsey, keep your tail up. Keep the sun out of my eyes.
Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, he should never have written the other four. Well, folks, that brings us up to the part of the program where we have asked the studio audience to take part. We have invited several members of the audience up here on the stage. They can ask the experts a question. If they get an intelligent answer, we give them the entire output of the United States Mint for one day. If they don't, and they won't, we just gave them enough to buy a war bond. Who is our first contestant, Mr. Elliott?
Mr. Howard, meet machinist mate second class, Joseph Chris.
Oh. How do you do, Mr. Chris? We're mighty glad to have you on our program. It's nice to have you with us. Is this your hometown, New York?
No.
Where are you from? Would you mind telling us?
Bloomfield, Connecticut.
Bloomfield, Connecticut?
Well, what do you know about
Bloomfield, Connecticut.
My gosh, if that don't bring back memories.
What do you mean?
I used to work in that
All right. Work in that town. Please, this is getting tiresome.
No, I'm no kid. I was a dentist in a Victory Garden.
You were a dentist in a Victory Garden?
Yeah, I used to pull out old roots.
Never mind.
I had a lot of nerves to pull
All right,
out.
we're getting away from our contestants. Would you mind telling us what you did before you entered the service, Mr. Chris?
Well, I used to work on construction work.
Construction work.
Operate shovels, bulldozers, jackhammers.
Oh, I see. Building bridges or things like...
Bridges and dikes and roads.
And dikes and roads.
Did it ever make you cross?
Never. All right, never mind. Do you like being in the service, Mr. Chris?
Yes, very much.
You enjoying yourself in New York?
Oh, I'm enjoying myself immensely.
Fine. Met any young ladies here that you thought you'd like? Huh? You don't have to answer that. What do you intend doing when you leave the service? Construction work?
I suppose so.
Yeah, well, I suppose.
Different line, though.
That'll be as good as any. Well, you certainly do make a fine-looking sailor, I will say that.
Yeah, don't he, though?
Yeah, he does.
You know, I was a spy in the last war.
You were a spy. Well, I wouldn't like that.
Oh, it's a good job if you don't lose your head.
Well, as I said before, we're glad to have you with us, and it's nice to have you here. And have you got a question for us?
Yes. What kind of...
Take your time.
What kind of seafood do they make fish cakes out of?
Oh, that's very good. What kind of seafood do they make fish cakes out of? Is that right?
That's right.
Did you hear the question?
I heard the question, Mr. Howard. You don't have to repeat it.
Well, no, that's great. We certainly are getting along great here. We're improving, Mr. McNaughton. You heard the question, and perhaps you can tell me the answer.
Oh, I say, Mr. Howard, isn't that expecting too much? After all, you know, there's a limit to everything.
What was the question, Mr. Howard?
What kind of seafood do we make fish cakes from?
Fish cakes? The fish eat cakes?
Fish eat cakes? No, fish cakes. I'm talking about fish cakes.
Oh, I never heard of fish cakes. And I've been fishing all my life, and I've yet to catch a fish cake.
You have yet to catch a fish cake. Mr. Sheldon, I sure do wish I had sore eyes.
Yeah?
You would be a sight for them. Miss McConnell, do you do any cooking at home?
Oh, certainly. Today I baked a sponge cake.
A sponge cake?
Yep. I sponged the eggs off of Sadie Rice.
Uh-huh.
I sponged the flour from Mrs. Goodman. And I sponged the sugar from Mrs. Haynes.
Yeah, sponge cake.
Sponge cake.
Sponge cake. You know?
Oh, yes. That's very tasty, you know.
Very tasty.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Howard, I went to a cooking school for 2 years.
You went to cook? Did you graduate?
Oh, rather, I graduated with flying crullers.
Flying crullers. Flying crullers.
I don't get it.
I didn't think you would.
You know, I went for lunch today, and there was no one home, so I got my own lunch.
You got your own lunch?
Yeah, I cooked some cold-boiled ham.
I see.
You cooked some cold-boiled ham? Well, how do you cook cold-boiled ham?
You just take the ham and boil it in cold water.
It's simple. Mr. Sheldon, without a doubt, I must say you have the lowest IQ I ever saw.
Can I help it if my suspenders are loose?
Oh, yeah. Your brains are loose, too. The question is, what seafood do we make fish cakes out of? Now, let's get... I tell you what we better do, Mr. Ronnie. Suppose we pay our guest here for the question. Fish cakes are made from codfish.
How much will I pay him, Mr. Howard?
Well, I don't know. Are you going anywhere after the program tonight, Mr. Chris?
Yeah.
You are, huh? Do you think $20 would make the evening more interesting?
I think you would.
You think it would? Okay, pay him $20, Mr. Elliott.
Here you are, Joe Chris. $20 for the compliments of Peel's Beer.
Thank you a lot. And now, can we have a little music from the corn cob?
Oh, well, I've been island all alone in a little log hut we call our own. She loves beer and I love rum. I'll tell you what, we've lots of fun. Ha, ha, ha! You and me, a little brown jug, how I love thee. Ha, ha, ha! You and me, a little brown jug, how I love thee.
next guest, Mr. Elliott.
Mr. Howard, this is Mary Vale, and she's a whack.
Well, how do you do, Miss Vale? I must say it's very nice to have you with us, Miss Vale.
Oh, yes, indeed it is, rather. Yes. Looks charming, doesn't she, Mr. Howard?
Yes, she does.
Very charming. And me with small eyes and no ambition.
Yes. And don't forget your flat feet. Is New York your hometown, Miss Vale?
No, it isn't.
Would you mind telling us where you're from?
Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, Detroit, Michigan. Detroit.
What do you know about that Detroit, Michigan?
Yeah.
You know, I never worked in that
You
town.
never.
You know, Mr. Howard, I played in that town.
You played in Detroit?
Oh, yes, Miss Vale. I played in Shakespeare's As You Like It with the original cast.
Well, wait a minute. With the original cast, why, Mr. McNaughton, the original cast has been dead over 300 years.
Oh, no wonder I got all the laughs.
Oh, no. Do you like the service, Miss Vale?
Yes, I do, very much.
I notice you've got a stripe on your arm. What does that signify?
On my arm?
Yeah.
That's a private first class.
Oh, private first class. I wondered if you were ranked the same as the male portion of the army.
Yes, we are.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that. I'm learning things every day here, Mr. Elliott. You know that? Have you a question for us tonight?
Yes, what precious stone do we see in a pearl necklace?
Well, now, that's a very good question. Did you hear the question, gentlemen? What precious stone do we see in a pearl necklace?
My old man bought me something nice for my neck.
I see.
What was it, a rope?
A rope?
No, it wasn't a rope. He
Well,
bought me a
it's
lavalier.
A lavalier. For your neck? Why, we got one of them things hanging in the middle of our dining room.
Mr. Sheldon, for your information, that's a chandelier.
Oh, no, Mr. Howard. The chandelier is a piece of furniture with drawers in it. You put your ties and your collars.
That's a cheffonier.
Oh, no, a cheffonier is the man who sells things to the highest bidder.
That's an auctioneer.
Are you crazy? You don't have to holler at us. I know an auctioneer. An auctioneer is one of those fellas that pushes boats around in the Venice Canal.
Wait a minute. That's a gondolier.
Oh, I beg to differ with you, Mr. Howard. A gondolier is a man who runs an engine.
That's an engineer, Mr. McNaughton. That runs an engine. Engineer.
What kind of an engine?
An engine. One of those big clumsy things that shoots off steam.
Now we're back to Miss McConnell again.
We have a question here.
Yeah, what was the question?
The question is, what was the question, Miss Vale?
What precious stone do we see in a pearl necklace?
Thank you, that's fine. What precious stones do we see in a pearl necklace?
You know, my girl's birthday is next week. I think I'll buy her a necklace.
Oh,
I
great.
was going to buy her one last year, but I didn't want to break a dollar bill.
Oh, Mr. Sheldon, don't be so stingy. I mean, don't you know that for every single thing you give away, two come back to you?
That's right. I gave my daughter away last August, and I got her and her husband back in September.
Look, Mr. Elliott, I suppose we pay our charming guest here $20 for a question. And thank you a lot for helping us out.
Here you are, Miss Vale, $20 and the best of luck from Peel's Beer.
Thank you again, Miss Vale. Well, I see staring me in the face the crackpot question.
Oh, Mr. Howard, there's a young lady here to see Miss McConnell.
Well, that shouldn't be hard. On a clear day, you can see Miss McConnell from Coney Island.
Oh, yeah? On a clear day, she couldn't see you 2 feet away with a pair of binoculars. Send her in, Mr. Elliott.
Now, wait just a minute here.
Good evening, Miss McConnell. Are you ready to be interviewed?
Interviewed?
Yes, Mr. Howard, I'm being interviewed by a famous fashion magazine. Vague.
Tell me, Miss McConnell, have you any beauty secrets?
If she has any beauty, it sure is a secret.
You keep out of this tall, stark, and invisible.
Miss McConnell, what would you say was the first requisite of charm?
Well, now let me see. I would say a soft, well-cultured voice. Like mine.
Yes, if you intend to take up hog calling for a career, Miss McConnell.
If you don't shut up, I'm going to forget that I'm a lady.
Why not? Everyone else has.
Miss McConnell, perhaps you'd care to tell your public to what you owe your happy nature.
Well, I'd say...
I know just what you're going to say. Peel's Extra Premium Beer.
Oh.
Well, as a matter of fact,
you are going to tell us about the crisp, clean taste of Peel's beer.
Well,
and how that super smoothness makes Peel's beer all a thirsty person could ask for. And how for over 60 years, Peel's has been pledged to keep the quality up.
But I was...
And how Peel's still stands by that pledge. making beer with the same lip-smacking quality today that made Peel's famous as New York's own extra premium beer for over 60 years.
I was going to say...
You were going to say how you would like everyone to try a glass of Peel's tonight and taste that deep-down, satisfying goodness of Peel's.
Well, I thought...
Thank you so much, Miss McConnell. That was one of the most interesting interviews I've ever had. I know our readers will enjoy reading all the splendid advice you've just given them. Well, goodbye now.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Say, Mr. Howard, what advice did I give her?
Well, if you gave her any, Miss McConnell, she didn't take it. Well, as I said before, that brings us right smack up against the crackpot question. Now, here it is. It was sent in by Mr. Dolezal. Here it is. What president of the United States fought in the Spanish-American War? The Roosevelt Boulevard in Philadelphia is named after him. He organized the Rough Riders. Bear in mind, his first name was Teddy. What's his name?
Teddy Bear.
Teddy Bear. That is wrong. But Mr. Elliott, send Mr. Dolezal $15.18 for his question because it pays to be ignorant. Well, that's it, folks. 8 o'clock is about here, so we'll have to call it quits. Sorry we didn't get to the rest of our contestants. But, Mr. Elliott, suppose you give them each $5 for being good enough to come up here on the stage and help us out.
Right, Mr. Howard. $5 to Edwin Myers, Ann Flachter, and Alamater.
Thank you all, and I'll be right back now with the thought of the week.
Pays to be Ignorant was created by Tom Howard and directed by Roger Bauer. Will be heard again next Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Wartime.
Well, folks, I hope you've had as much fun out of this hodgepodge as we have had. This is Tom Howard again reminding you that the grass is always greener in the yellow fella's yard till you have to mow it. So with that, I'll just say good night for Peel Brothers of Brooklyn, brewers of New York's own extra premium beer. Good night, folks.
Why is a watchdog smaller in the daytime?
Because he's let out at night.
Correct. Pay that man $7. What would you call a person who is afraid of water?
Dirty.
Dirty. Correct. Pay that man $9 because...
It pays to be ignorant. Once again, the makers of WOR and Mutual present their special educational feature, It Pays to Be Ignorant, presided over by that famous scholar, historian, and panhandler, a member of the team of Howard and Shelton, Tom Howard.
Thank you, Bruce Elliott, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, here we are with that quiz program, which makes everybody connected with it look silly. With a board of experts who are so dumb, they think an atomizer is a person who hoards atoms. There are many things I really enjoy doing, but instead I find myself faced with the gruesome task of introducing these three morons to you. First, we have the celebrated author, Mr. Harry McNaughton, who has just written a condensed version of the book, The Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire, entitled Kerplunk. But here it is, Mr. Harry McNaughton. Mr. McNaughton.
I have a poem, Mr. Howard.
I see.
I eat my peas with honey. I've done it all my life. It makes the peas taste funny, but it keeps them on my knife.
Oh, yeah.
It's the new non-skid method, of eating peas.
All right, Mr. McNaughton.
They always slip into my lap somehow.
Let's not bother with
Call
it.
them messy.
You've never heard of an instrument called the fork, did you? Let's get on with the program. Next, we have a woman who is so big, she uses the corporation form to pay her income tax. A woman whose face looks as if she'd been on a sightseeing tour through a meat grinder, Miss Lulu McConnell. Miss McConnell, ladies and gentlemen.
I hope we get through on time tonight, Mr. Howard. I have an appointment to see my doctor.
Oh, you're not feeling well?
Well, you remember a year ago when I had rheumatism so bad?
Yeah.
Well, this doctor cured me.
I see. So your rheumatism is back again?
Oh, no. No, but he told me to keep away from the dampness.
I see.
So I want to find out if it's all right to take a bath.
After take a bath.
My word.
After a year. I see. All right, let's get on. Next, we have a man who takes a ruler to bed with him so he can see how long he sleeps.
A man who telephones the fire department when his house gets cold, Mr. George Shelton. Mr. Shelton, ladies.
You know, Mr. Howard, I think I got cheated out of 2 bits today.
How did that happen?
Well, I bought a tube of shaving cream, you know, that brushless stuff, and it says right on the tube, no mug required.
Well, what's wrong with that? No mug required.
Well, what am I supposed to shave?
What? Oh.
Just wasting a lot of money. No sense in buying the job.
All right,
No.
Mr. Sheldon, when you are shaving yourself, do you ever cut your throat?
No.
Isn't it a temptation?
You know what it is?
Try it sometime. Well, there they are, folks. If you're waiting for the program to improve, you don't know us. Our first question tonight comes from Mr. Paul Douglas of New York City. Now, here it is. What is a bread knife used for? No help, please, from the audience. Did you hear the question, Mr. Sheldon?
Every word of it, Miss Howard, every word of it.
What do you think of it?
I think it's a very keen question.
A very keen question.
You asked me, that was a very sharp remark.
All right.
Oh, I'm all on edge tonight.
Oh, you're all on edge. Please. Never mind the puns. What is a bread knife used for? You ought to know the answer, Miss McConnell.
I should, shouldn't I?
Yes, you should.
Well, I don't.
Well, you don't. You don't know what a bread knife is used for?
We never use bread in our house.
You never use bread?
No, we use nothing but toast.
Oh, I see. That's marvelous. Miss McConnell, if I had your head, I'd turn it over to the scrap drive. What is a bread knife used for? Let me give you a clue. The answer I want is something made from dough. Do you know what dough is, Mr. Shelton?
Sure, dough is something that everybody needs. It attracts a lot of half-baked friends, and when you have enough of it, you belong to the upper crust. And when you're broke, you're just a loafer.
All right. Please. That is not the answer I want. Miss McNaughton, do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I do not. If you know what you're talking about, I don't see how you expect me to know.
But wait a minute. I happen to know what I'm talking about.
Then you answer the question.
Look, Mr. McNaughton, please, how is it you never derive any benefit from these questions?
Well, you see, Mr. Howard, I have no deriver's license.
You have no... That is terrible.
You know, my girl is taking driver's lessons.
Oh, really? How's she making out?
Not so good, not so good. You see, when the road turns the same time she does, it's just a coincidence.
I
My old man and me were driving along in our car the other day. We came to the George Washington Bridge.
Yeah?
The man said 50 cents, and my old man said so.
That's all, I see. So that's all. Miss McConnell, have you no scruples?
Oh, no. No, I was vaccinated when I was a little girl.
I see.
Oh, Miss McConnell, you vaccinate me.
Never mind, please. Miss McConnell, when you were a little girl, they hadn't discovered vaccination.
Well, the doctor stuck something in my arm.
I see. Must have been a phonograph needle.
What do you mean?
Well, the record speaks for itself.
The record. Look, please. I still haven't found out what a bread knife is used for. Miss McNaughton, does your wife have a bread knife?
Oh, rather, yes, Mr. Howard. She has a beautiful bread knife.
Well, what does she use it for?
To chase me out of the kitchen.
You mean your wife hits you with a bread knife?
Oh, no. She never hits me with it. She just throws it at me.
Throws a bread knife at you? For what reason? What's her aim?
Sometimes it's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like a dartboard.
Do any of you know what a knife is?
Oh, sure. I know what a knife is, Mr. Howard.
Good. What do you use a knife for?
To eat my mashed potatoes with.
I see. Don't you use a fork?
Sure.
What do you use the fork for?
To pick my teeth.
To pick your teeth.
Did you ever read Emily Post?
Never mind Emily Post. I think that's enough. Suppose we send Mr. Douglas $4.04 for his question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Howard. I slice off $4.04 and send the dough to Mr. Paul Douglas.
I see. You're using puns, too. Tell him the bread knife is used to cut bread with. Thank you. What's that now? Will somebody get that organ player out of here or throw him a fish or something, will you? How anybody can you abuse a beautiful Hammond organ like that is beyond me. Well, here is the next question.
Well, I'll get it. Just a moment.
Now, who's ringing the phone?
Hello? Hello? What is the correct time? Just a moment, please. Just a moment. It's now, the correct time is 20 minutes to 8. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
Now, what's that all about? Who was that?
The Boulevard Watch Company.
Oh, I see. Okay, please. The Boulevard Watch Company. Ain't this awful? Here is the next question sent in by Mrs. Walter Sharples of East Arlington, Massachusetts. Here's the question. What time of year is best for winter sports?
Oh, my word, I say that's a very good question, isn't it?
Yes, it is a very good question.
I can hardly wait till I hear the answer.
I see. Miss McNaughton, I expect you to find the answer.
Why, have you lost it?
No, I haven't lost it.
Maybe you hid it.
I didn't hide it.
But it must be around someplace.
Please.
Miss McConnell, are you sitting on it?
Now, what is this?
I don't think so.
Will you please sit down? Sit down. Can't you stop this?
Oh, I always listen to that program.
What program?
Can you top this?
Blake. I'm not talking about a radio program. I have a question here. What time of year is best for winter sports?
Well, Mr. Howard, what particular sport did you have in mind?
Any sport. Ice skating, hockey, skiing.
Oh, I played hockey, Mr. Howard.
Fine. Now, what time of year did you play hockey?
Anytime, but mostly in the spring.
You didn't play hockey in the spring.
You know, that's what I tried to tell my school teacher when she caught up with me.
Now, wait a minute. I'm talking about hockey, not hooky.
Oh.
Please, what time of year is best for winter sports?
You know, speaking of winter sports, I love ice skating. Yesterday I skated for hours on end.
Wasn't it painful?
No, I always carry a pillow with me.
You know, I saw the ice show at Madison Square Garden. Boy, could they skate. One girl skated with 1 foot up in the air.
So what? When I skate, I have 2 feet in the air.
Beautiful sight.
Beautiful sight. Will you cut it out, please?
You know, I was over at the ice rink at Radio City the other day practicing. I tried for 2 hours to make a fancy figure.
Oh, what happened?
She slapped my face.
Oh, I see. Mr. Shelton, do you like to skate?
Oh, yeah, but the last time I skated, I took an awful fall.
Did the people laugh?
No, but the ice made some funny cracks.
All right. Mr. Sheldon, a half-wit must have given you a piece of his mind.
Yeah, and you're not going to get it back either.
All right.
Very good.
Mr. Connell, do you know anything about winter sports?
No. In my days, the ladies didn't go in for winter sports.
Uh-huh.
The girls of today are muscle-bound.
Yeah, and the girls in your day were bustle-bound.
Another crack like that, and I'm liable to throw you a dirty look.
Well, you better keep it on you. It looks good. Let's get on here. The question is still unanswered. What season of the year is best for winter sports?
You know, I took a trip up to the mountains last week to do a little skiing. But after the first hour, I gave it up.
No ambition?
No snow.
No snow.
I remember the first and the last time I went skiing. You know, I took one of those big jumps like. Well, when I landed, one ski went one way and the other ski went the other way. I thought I'd split.
You know. Gets worse and worse.
Well, of course, that's you all over.
Yeah, that's you all over.
You know, personally, I like tobogganing. You like tobogganing, Miss McConnell?
Oh, sure. You get things cheaper that way.
You get things cheaper. Mr. Elliott, please, let's get out of this thing. Suppose you send Mrs. Sharple $7.77 for her question.
Right, Mr. Howard. $7.77 to Mrs. Walter Sharples with best wishes from all of us.
The answer, of course, is winter. Got you talking about winter and he plays seashore. That's marvelous. That guy choked.
Swallow that all.
gave that guy a union card ought to go out and shoot himself. I wonder what that was called.
Oh, that was Schubert's Unfinished Symphony.
Oh, it was. Well, if it sounded like that, I don't blame him for not finishing it. Well, folks, that brings us up to the part of the program where we ask the studio audience to take part. We have invited 2 members up here on the stage. They can ask the experts a question. If they get the correct answer, we give them the deed to Fort Knox. If they stump the experts, we always manage to scrape up a few pennies for them. So who is our first contestant, Mr. Elliott?
Mr. Howard, I'd like you to meet Corporal Gene Glick of the Army.
Oh, how do you do, Mr. Glick? How do you do, Corporal Glick? We're very glad to have you with us. Would you mind telling us just a little about yourself, such as where is your hometown, please?
Plainfield, New Jersey.
Oh, Plainfield, New Jersey.
Well, paste me in the mouth and call me Toothbrush.
Yes.
You know, I used to work in that town. Yeah, as an umpire in the union.
And a union?
Umpire for a labor union?
Yeah, I used to call strikes.
You used to... lying it away.
You know, Corporal Glick, I was in the Army in the last war, yes, but I didn't stay.
You didn't stay? Didn't like the hours, I guess. Huh?
No, that wasn't it. You see, they cut my salary after I'd been in just a few days.
They cut your salary? What for?
Well, I was late for breakfast one morning, so the sergeant told me I'd be confined 2 quarters for 2 weeks. I know I'm naughty tonight. I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, how can a person live on 2 quarters?
No, that isn't very much money,
Of course, I would have settled for a couple of bucks.
Oh, yeah, all right, please, let's get on here. Corporal, don't let these 3 dead batteries shock you here. What? Would you mind telling us just what you did before you entered the service?
I played in the band.
Oh, you're a musician, isn't that? Right. What instrument did you play?
Drums.
Oh, the drums. Uh-huh.
Play the drums. Can you beat that?
Yeah, he played the drums.
You know, Corporal, I play musical instruments. You know that, Mr. Howard?
I didn't know it.
I play the trombone, clarinet, flute, piccolo, and trombone.
Yes. Have you got a zither?
Oh, I've got a zither and a buzzer.
You got a zither? All right, please.
I got a lot of musical instruments, too.
Oh, you got a lot of...
I got a drum and a pipe. And
yeah?
and all that.
Oh, I see. You got a pipe.
Yeah, I got a pipe and 3 kids.
You got a pipe. I know you ruined it, but let it go. We're very glad, Corporal, to have you with us tonight.
Yeah, what's your first name, honey?
James.
What?
James.
Gene, isn't that sweet?
Yeah,
Gene. He's a cute lady, huh?
Yeah,
Well, I'll tell you, you can just call me Bubbles. I'm so light and airy.
Yeah? And you're just about the same shape.
I got it.
Sit down. Corporal, would you mind reaching into the dunce cap there and picking out a question for us? And would you mind reading it? That is, just read the question. Just read it. Help him, Mr. McCoy.
Who is the principal character in the opera Carmen?
I see. Who is the principal character in the opera Carmen? Now, there's a question on music for you. You like music, don't you, Miss McConnell?
Oh, yes, I'm very musical.
Yeah.
Did you know that I had a chance to sing in the voice of the turtle?
Uh-huh.
Really?
Voice of the turtle.
I think that's very interesting, you know. What part were you going to play, Miss McConnell?
The turtle.
Oh. Well, I'd say that's very good casting.
Yeah, nice.
Turtle. That's a frog in an armored car, isn't it? Yeah, they use their necks for sweaters.
You got it.
Oh, turtleneck sweaters.
All right, don't let it
Can't pull the wool over his eyes.
No. The question is about Carmen. Did you ever see Carmen, Mr. McNaughton?
Oh, did I? Rather, yes. Wonderful
you did?
production. Wonderful production.
Oh, I'm glad you saw it. Then perhaps you can name the leading character in it.
Now, let me see. Leading character. Don't tell me.
Oh, no, I won't.
Don't rush me now. It was a girl.
That's right.
Now, what was her name?
Well, let me give you a hint. The
Yes.
principal characters in Romeo and Juliet were Romeo and Juliet. Now, what is the principal character in Carmen?
I think you're wrong there, Mr. Howard. If I remember correctly, there's no Romeo and Juliet in Carmen.
I didn't say there was.
Sounds to me like you said Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
No, please.
I love Romeo and Juliet. I always call my old man Romeo.
Why? Because he's so romantic?
No. Because when he takes me to a theater, he always buys seats in the balcony.
I prefer Hamlet myself.
You like Hamlet?
Yes, to be or not to be, that is the question.
No, you're wrong, Mr. McNaught. That is not the question.
No?
The question is, what part does Romeo and Juliet play in the opera Carmen?
No.
I listen.
Oh, yeah, you listen, yeah. Look, the question is, what is the name of the principal character in the opera Carmen?
No, Mr. McNaughton said to be or not to be was the question.
To be or not to be what?
Look a minute,
I
please.
didn't say to be or not to be was the question.
Well, who said it? Somebody said it.
Hamlet said it. It was Hamlet's question.
Well, send him $5 and let's get on with the program.
Right. The question has nothing to do with Hamlet. It's about the opera Carmen. Hamlet is Shakespeare.
Hamlet is Shakespeare. When did he change his name?
When he got married.
Hamlet didn't get married.
He did it. Well, then why does he hang around Juliet's balcony all the time?
You know, Mr. Howard, I played in Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, really, Mr. Connell? Did you have a nice balcony?
Well, if she didn't, she's got one now. Look, let's get back. There is no question about Juliet's balcony. The question is about the opera Carmen.
That's a musical question, ain't it?
I'm glad you're paying attention. That's right.
Yeah, you know, I'm taking up music as a career.
You are?
I'm forging ahead.
You're forging ahead.
Yep.
If you get time, forge one for yourself, will you, Mr. Howard? The question is still about opera.
You know, I went to the opera last week, but I left after the first act.
Oh, really? Why? Didn't you like it?
Oh, I loved it. But said in the program, second act the same as Act 1. Why waste time?
Yeah, why?
It's so monotonous.
Yes. No,
You know, I'm taking a lady to the theater tomorrow night. We're going to sit in the balcony, yes, all by ourselves.
You're going to sit in the balcony, or you mean you bought the entire balcony?
Precisely, Mr. Howard. The sign outside said, entire balcony, $1.10, so I bought it.
Very cheap. Got
it very cheap?
Yes, you did.
Sadie Wright and me went to see a show last week, but we couldn't get seats. It was so crowded.
Well, couldn't you get standing room?
Yeah, but not together.
Not together. All right, please. There must be an easier way to make a living here, please.
Well, we're going to the theater 2 weeks from next Wednesday to see the second act of the play.
What was the matter with the first act?
Oh, we saw that last Wednesday.
You-
So we got to go back 2 weeks from next Wednesday and see the second act.
Say, wait a minute. What are you talking about?
Well, it said on the program, second act, 3 weeks later.
3 weeks later. All right. Mr. Elliott, before we're here for the next 3 weeks, suppose we pay our friend for his question. Give him $15 for his question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Howard. Here you are, Corporal Gene Glick. $15 and the best of luck to you, sir.
The principal character in the opera Carmen is, of course, Carmen.
Say, Mr. Howard.
Anything can happen, Mr. Shelton.
Say, that's...
Isn't that sweet? Christmas is here again.
Oh, that's sweet music, you know. You know, I've always been a pushover for Gilbert Sullivan.
Gilbert Sullivan.
Which one, Gilbert or Sullivan?
Which one is he, Gilbert or Sullivan? I think his name's Sam.
That must be 6 o'clock or something now.
Say, Mr. Howard, is that music from Carmen?
That music's from Hunger, Mr. Shelton.
Hunger? Is that a very good show, Mr. Howard?
Oh, forget it, please. Who is our next contestant, Mr. Elliott?
Mr. Howard, this is Yeoman Second Class Vivian Wayland of the Wave.
How do you do you do, Miss Whalen, and welcome to It Pays to Be Ignorant. Would you mind just telling us just the least little bit about yourself? Where would your home be? Would you care to tell us?
In Wauwatosa, Wisconsin.
Wauwatosa, Wisconsin.
Hey, you know, that's remarkable, Miss Whalen. I used to go with a young lady in that town. In fact, I almost married her. Yes. Extraordinary, you know. Her father was a millionaire.
Oh, I see.
She was an heiress.
She was an heiress.
Yeah, how'd you make out?
Very badly. It was like losing a ball game. No runs, no hits, no heiress. I don't get it.
No. Pay no attention to them, Miss Whalen.
Now, why do I look in a uniform like that?
How would you look in what, Miss Connell?
In a uniform like that?
A Sherman tank, you would look like.
Why is it, Mr. Howard, you're always making cracks about my figure? I'll have you know, before I married my old man, I said no to 10 different men.
Yeah? What were they selling?
You know, Mr. Howard, I like girls in uniform.
Yeah?
Mr. McNaughton, what do you like in girls' clothing?
Girls?
Would you care to tell us, Miss Whalen, what you did before you entered the service?
I was going to college.
Oh, you went to college, I see. What college would you care?
Carroll College.
What college?
Carroll College.
Carroll College.
Carroll College.
I went to college, too.
Oh, you went there, I imagine.
Yeah, I took up trigonometry.
Trigonometry.
Yeah, I always wanted to learn how to shoot a gun.
I
see. You know, speaking of colleges, I spent the best years of my life, you know, up at Vassar.
Vassar? Vassar's a girls' college.
You're telling me.
Please, well, thank you for being so nice about everything. Would you kindly pick a question from the dunce cap for us? And would you care to read the question, please?
Was Helen of Troy a man or a woman?
Was Helen of Troy a man or a woman?
Oh, they're getting harder all the time.
Yes. Well, don't be surprised if she turns out to be a football player after these morons get through kicking the question around.
Mr. Howard, what was the question again?
Mr. McNaughton, must I keep on repeating myself?
Oh, no, I don't want you to repeat yourself, Mr. Howard. Just repeat the question.
I see. Was Helen of Troy a man or a woman?
What was her first name?
What? Oh, please. Haven't you ever heard of Helen of Troy, Mr. Sheldon?
No, but I've heard of Benny of Rochester.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, then there was Joan of Arc.
Yeah.
I knew her brother, Noah's Ark.
Yeah, okay. Let me set you straight here. Helen of Troy was a myth.
Yeah, she was a what?
A myth. A myth.
Mr. Howard, are your teeth slipping?
Helen of Troy was a myth. Something that don't can't see.
Didn't live, and then you say she did live.
Please make up your mind, sir.
Look, I said she lived in fiction.
Well, where is fiction?
Look, when I wasn't, she was. Imagination.
Oh, she moved. She didn't like fiction.
My word, skinny, wasn't she?
Yes. Everything is imagination. A person thinks they have a toothache, that's imagination. You wake up in the morning with a headache, imagination. You say you can't sleep at night? Imagination. What?
Imagination, Mr. Howard, imagination.
Mr. Elliott, give our charming guest here $15 for a question, and may I add, that's not imagination.
Yes, sir, Mr. Howard. It's a pleasure. $15 with our best wishes. Vivian Whalen of the Wave.
Thank you a lot for being with us. And thank you a lot for helping us out. Helen of Troy was a woman.
Walk up this way, folks.
That's marvelous. Well, here's that crackpot question, folks, sent in by Mrs. Lester of New London, Connecticut. You are to tell us the name of this man. He was born in 1564, died in 1660. He was an English dramatist and poet, and was known as the Bard of Avon. Among his famous plays are The Merchants of Venice, Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, and many others. His father's name, was Shakespeare. His first name was William. Can you tell me the name?
William Tell.
That is wrong, but send Mrs. Lester $8.19 for the question, because it pays to be ignorant.
It Pays to be Ignorant was created by Tom Howard and directed by Roger Bauer. It will be heard again next Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Wartime.
This is Tom Howard again saying good night for Harry McNaughton, Lula McConnell, George Sheldon. Good night and good nonsense. Thank you.
This is Mutual.
Is it bad luck to postpone a wedding?
Not if you keep on postponing it.
Correct. Pay that man $11. What is dust?
Mud with the juice squeezed out of it.
Correct. Pay that man $12 because...
It pays to be ignorant. As living proof to all you servicemen and women listening in over there that it does pay to be ignorant, here's another half hour with radio's biggest collection of zanies, the incomparable wits, George Sheldon, Lula McConnell, and Harry McNaughton, our doctor of music, Nat Novick, and a man who sticks his neck out every week at this time, our moderator, Tom Howard.
Thank you, Ken Roberts, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. When people say things could be worse, they mean it pays to be ignorant. On this silly quiz program, we have a board of experts who are so dumb they went to the lumberyard to see their draft board. Here he is, the Henry Wadsworth Longfellow of the Hobo News, Mr. Harry McNaughton.
I have a poem, Mr. Howard.
I expected as much.
It's a love poem about Betty Grable and me.
Oh.
Here it is. Oh, Harry McNaughton, said Betty Grable, I was such a happy miss when you called on me and held my hand and gave me that wonderful bunch of flowers.
Now, wait a minute. That don't even rhyme.
I know. Harry James came into the room.
Harry James. Oh, I see. He had a horn in. All right. Next we have a woman. Next we have a woman who has so many double chins, you think she's looking at you over a stack of wheat cakes. A woman who is all dressed up and no place to go. Here she is, a woman who is up on current events to such an extent that she spent all week campaigning for McKinley for the fourth term. Here she is, Miss Lulu McConnell.
Mr. Howard, you never say your right nephew, Albert. You know, the one that's in the Army.
Well, I've only heard you mention him about 1,000 times, Miss McConnell.
But then he wrote down a letter from him the other day.
I see.
Oh, he's doing fine.
Good.
Said the general is crazy about him.
The general is?
Yeah, he even lives with the general.
Wait a minute. He lives with the general?
Well, she has to address all his mail care of general delivery.
Very, very cute. All right, next we have a man who, when he was a boy at school, he was voted the most likely to blow up the city hall. A man who caught cold last week from riding in an open patrol wagon. Here he is, number 478532, known to his parents as Mr. George Shelton.
Hey, Mr. Howard, did you see the circus this year?
No, I missed
Boy,
that.
what a sideshow they had.
Yeah?
You know, I saw the most unusual two-headed man you ever saw.
What? Wait a minute. All two-headed men are unusual.
Oh, but this two-headed man was more unusual than the rest of them.
Oh, he was. I see.
Really? What was so unusual about this two-headed man?
He only had one head.
He only Well, he's still one up on you, Mr. Shelton. For the benefit of those who have tuned in for the first time, let me say we never let the experts see the questions. They couldn't read them if we did. So this program is not only unprepared and unrehearsed, it's unconscious. Not only that, it's spontaneous. So we start in a haze and gradually work ourselves through a fog. Here's our first question. It comes from Mr. Stanley L. Seltzer, United States Navy. The question is in two parts, so you'll have to listen very closely. Here is the question. Who wrote the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, and about what great man was it written? No help from the audience, please. Let them try and get it. Of course, you know what an autobiography is.
Oh, rather, yes. It's one of those things with a big windmill on the top. It flies up in the air.
Wait a minute. That's an autogyro.
Oh.
An autobiography is the history of a person written by the person himself. Now, that should give you a clue to the question. Who wrote the autobiography of Ben Franklin, about what great man was it written?
Could I have that in writing, Mr. Howard?
Yes. What do you want it in writing for?
I want to see if it looks as silly as it sounds.
Mr. Shelton, I'd like to tell you you're a very smart man.
Well, thank you, Mr. Howard.
I'd like to tell you that, but the truth is you're a moron.
Yeah, not only that, I got 3 tonsils.
Yeah.
That's rich.
Never mind laughing, Miss McCall. You're not so hot yourself.
Oh, yeah? Well, what's the matter with me?
That would be open to debate, I'm afraid.
I said, what's the matter with me? I'll have you know I come from good stock.
Jersey, Guernsey, or Holstein? Now, let's get back to the questions. I told you it's a 2-part question. Who wrote the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, and what great man was it written about?
Well, Mr. Howard, which part do we have to answer first?
Who cares? Either part. It's an easy question. It's about literature.
Oh, literature is my long suit.
Yeah, that's funny. Red flannels is my long suit.
You know, when I'm puzzled like this, I always stop and ask myself some questions.
I see. You must get some very silly answers.
That is a lie, Mr. Howard.
Never mind. It may be a mistake, but it's not a lie. I never told a lie in my life.
Boy, I wish I could say that.
Yeah.
Go ahead and say it. Mr. Howard said it. He didn't get struck by lightning.
He didn't get struck. All right. What about the question? Who wrote the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, and what great man was it written about? Let's get on here.
Mr. Howard, tell me something. Did he live in Philadelphia?
What? Yes, he did.
Yes. Was he a printer?
That's right.
Did he discover electricity?
Correct.
Was the Benjamin Franklin Hotel in Philadelphia named after him?
Yes.
I wonder who it could be.
Thought he had it. Look, let me try and help you further. I might give you another clue here. He was one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, where'd he sign it?
Well, mister, for your benefit, the Declaration of Independence was signed at Philadelphia.
Oh, no, it wasn't. I know that much.
What do you mean, no?
No, the Declaration of Independence was not signed at Philadelphia. I know that.
All right, never mind. Look, Mr. Sheldon, then, suppose you tell us, where was the Declaration of Independence signed?
At the bottom.
At the bottom. ladies and gentlemen, don't turn your radios off. There's nothing the matter with them. That officer gets paid for making noises anyone else would get arrested for. Well, here is our next question. It comes from a Mr. Harry McNaughton of Manhasset, Long Island. The question is, Mr. Harry McNaughton, Manhasset. Wait a minute, what is... Mr. McNaughton, you live in Manhasset, don't you?
Oh, yes, sir.
Uh-huh. Did you send this question in?
Well, that is sort of...
Wait a minute. What do you mean, sort of?
Well, I sort of put the question in an envelope and put a stamp on it and dropped it in the mailbox. But I assure you, Mr. Howard, from then on, I had nothing whatever to do with it.
From then on? That awful. Look, don't you know you're not supposed to send questions in on your own program?
Well, I just thought I'd try to pick up a couple of bucks.
Never mind. Let me tell you something right here. You're out of order.
I'm out of order? I feel all right, although my stomach has been giving me a little trouble lately. Of course, I'd have more trouble without it.
I imagine.
You know, I've been having a little trouble with my stomach, too. My doctor told me the only thing that would help me, though, would be to take a bath before retiring.
Oh, really? Did it help you?
I don't know yet. With business the way it is, I won't be able to retire for another 15 years.
All right, let's get on.
Well, Doctor, sure you give me some funny advice sometime.
Yes.
My old man got a terrible cold in his head, and the doctor said I'd have to break it up.
Yes, and did you?
I tried. I busted 3 rolling pins and a baseball bat over his head. But he still sneezes a little.
He isn't quite over it yet, I suppose.
No.
Look, cut it out. This program is starting to sound like a clinic.
I hate those guys. Can't stand them.
Wait a minute. You hate what guys?
Critics, always belittling. Nothing suits them. No matter how beautiful or right a thing is, they find fault.
All right.
Criticize.
All right.
Always bellyaching.
Ned McConnell, be careful of your language. There's sailors in the house here. Look, that's the cynic you're talking about, Miss McConnell, a person that thinks everything is done for selfish reasons.
Oh, I beg to differ, Mr. Howard. I think that's a gimmick.
No, Mr. McNaughton, a gimmick is a sort of it's a little secret device used by a magician. In other words, it's something tricky.
Oh, no. A gimmick is like a crazy poem. You know, like, there was a young girl from St. Paul who died...
No, wait a minute. Never mind. No, we'll do without that poem. You're talking about a limerick, a nonsensical verse.
Mr. Howard, you know, I think you mean a maverick.
A maverick? I don't mean a maverick. A maverick is a motherless calf. Sometimes they grow up into great big unbranded cows.
Now we're back to Miss McConnell again.
Now, Johnny, I want to tell you one thing. Make sure you don't send any money to Mr. Harry McNaughton out in Manhattan, will you?
I never intended to, Mr. Howard.
Sure, fine. School is in again. Well, so far we've only dealt with one question this evening, as if it matters.
Luella! Where'd you get that
Cinderella would envy you, Luella, if she ever saw you with your fella. I know he weighs a ton, I know his feet are flat, but after all, in times like these, girls get used to that. Hey, Luella, where'd you get that fella? Tell me where you got him, Luella.
Portion of our program where we need a little help from our studio audience. We've invited 2 members of the audience up here on the stage they can ask the experts a question. If they get an intelligent answer, we give them a 3-year supply of high-octane gasoline. If they don't, we give them whatever loose change we may have in our pockets at the time. Who is our first guest this evening, Mr. Roberts?
Our first guest, Mr. Howard, is Private W.G. Lunas of the Armored Division of the United States Army.
Well, thank you for coming up here, Private Lunas. How do you feel, Private Lunas?
I feel quite well tonight, sir.
Well, that's fine. You certainly do look in the pink of condition. I must say the Army sure does know how to build bodies.
Yeah, why don't you get them to build one for you?
No. Pay no attention to them, Private. Where's your hometown? Would you care to tell us?
Englewood, New Jersey.
Englewood, New Jersey. I see. That's right over the bridge here. You're right near home. What, are you on a furlough or something?
Yes, on 10-day furlough, right?
Well, I bet you're enjoying yourself.
No,
That's great.
I used to work in that town, Mr. Howard. I was a joiner.
You were a joiner?
You were a joiner?
Yeah, when anybody would buy a drink, I'd join them.
Yeah. Yes, and you're still a joiner.
I say, you know, speaking of joiners, I had an uncle who was a painter.
Speaking of joiners, you had an uncle that was a painter. That's very close.
What a coincidence.
Yes, it is. Quite a coincidence.
You know, unfortunately, he died from drinking shellac.
Died from drinking shellac.
But he had a fine finish.
All right. He must have been a man of polish. The best way to treat these mental sand traps, Private, is to ignore them. What did you do before you entered the service?
I was a student, sir.
Oh, you were a student. That's fine. Well, we're very, very happy to have you with us, I must say.
Well, what's your first name, honey?
First name is Bill.
Bill.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a swell, cute name, ain't it, Mr.
Yeah,
Howard?
Bill is a very
He's
nice...
a cute kid, too, ain't he?
Yeah, he's a nice... He's a nice...
Well, you can just call me Tomato.
Tomato.
I'm surround and luscious.
And you should be stewed.
It's a date, honey.
It's a date. All right. Would you kindly reach into the dunce cap there, Private, and pick out a question for us? And would you be kind enough to read the question right into the microphone, if you will?
Yes. How long is a yardstick?
How long? How long is a yardstick? I think that's going to be a pretty tough question. Did you hear the question, Mr. McNaughton?
I heard it, Mr. Howard.
You did?
The question is, how long is a yardstick?
That is correct, Miss McConnell.
Good. Don't take us long with that one. Let's hear the next question.
All right. That was only the question. It's the answer we want.
Oh, you want the answer, too? On the money you pay us?
Never mind. Miss McConnell, the question is about a yardstick. Now, you must know something about it. Don't you ever buy any cloth in the store? That is, don't you do any sewing?
Sure, yeah. Oh, I made this dress I'm wearing.
Oh, you did?
Uh-huh.
I thought the circus left their tent behind.
Is that so? Well, this is a nice dress, and it fits me like a glove.
Yeah, boxing glove.
Well, I'll have you know I'm considered a very, very correct dresser.
I see.
I always wear a dress to fit the occasion.
You must have a lot of trouble fitting your occasion.
You know, it's a funny thing about a woman and her clothes. A girl may wear a bathing suit and never go in the water. She may wear a golfing suit and never go golfing. She may wear a riding habit and never go riding. But when she puts on a wedding dress, she means business.
I don't know about that, Mr. McNaughton.
No?
No, I know a girl, when she goes walking, she wears a walking outfit.
Yes?
When she goes out for dinner, she wears a dinner outfit.
Mm-hmm.
When she goes out in the evening, she wears an evening gown. We're thinking of giving her a birthday party.
A birthday? The ushers will pass out earmuffs. That was Custer's last fight. Well, who is our next guest, Mr. Roberts?
Our next guest, Mr. Howard, is leading airwoman Peggy Johnson of the Royal Canadian Air Force.
That shows you how much they think of you, Peggy. It certainly is nice that you're here. It's really nice that you offer to expose yourself to so much ignorance. Are you nervous, Peggy?
No.
You're not nervous? Well, that's fine. I thought if you were, you could hold my hand for a few minutes.
Listen to that old buck.
How do you mean old? Just because there's a little snow on the roof don't mean there's no fire in the house. Would you mind telling us where your hometown is, Miss Johnson?
Up in Le Tuque, Quebec.
Where's it, please?
Up in Le Tuque, Quebec.
It's Quebec. The name of the town?
Le Tuque.
Le Tuque, yes. Hey, you couldn't have lived in Troy or Allentown.
You know, the funny thing, Miss Howard, I used to know a girl in that town.
What town?
She went... in Batoot. This girl that I knew was a manicurist.
Oh, manicurist.
Yeah, very successful, in fact.
Uh-huh.
Oh, she made money hand over fist.
I was waiting for that.
You know, Miss Johnson, I love Quebec. Rather, yes. In fact, I once made a movie up there. It's called The Man Who Came to Breakfast.
Did you have a big role?
No, just a cup of coffee.
All right, pay no attention to Miss. Don't let them upset you. I suppose, being down here from Quebec, I suppose you're on a furlough.
Yes, a 7-day furlough.
7 days furlough. How do you like New York?
Oh, it's fine.
Do you mind if I ask you, how do you compare the boys of New York with the young men in Quebec?
Oh, they work an awful lot faster down here.
Well, I can believe you. I certainly can.
You know, I like the boys in the Armored Division.
You do?
And they're crazy about me.
The boys in the Armored Division.
Uh-huh.
Well, they go for tanks, I can see. And Miss Johnson, now that you're here, would you be good enough to reach into the dunce cap there and pick out a question for us tonight? And would you please just read the question right close to the mic so we can...
How much is a $25 war bond worth at maturity?
How much is a $25 war bond worth at maturity? We're getting into mathematics there with this one. Well, anyhow, we'll try it. How do you like that question, Mr. McNaughton?
Oh, I'm just crazy about it.
Fine.
Oh, wow, it's pretty.
Pretty?
It's really a very nice question. I don't know when I've ever heard such an interesting question.
All right, that's fine. How about the answer?
Oh, I'd like to hear that, too.
I'd like to hear something sensible come out of your mouth for a change.
Would you repeat the question, Mr. Howard?
I'll be glad to. How much is a $25 war bond worth at maturity?
Mr. Howard, where is maturity?
There is no place called maturity.
Oh, but there is a place called maturity.
Yeah.
I got a nephew just went there.
Now, wait a minute. That's impossible. I tell you, there is no such place.
No? Well, I got a letter from my sister today. She said her son had just reached maturity.
It's been 40 or 50 years since you reached there. Let's go, anyhow.
You know, a return trip now.
Yeah, I see.
Mr. Howard, I think I know where maturity is.
You know where maturity is?
Yes, it's right here in New York. I've got a cousin up in the maturity ward at Medical Center.
Please, let's try and get this question. Don't any of you know where maturity is?
No.
Me?
You?
Tell me I know what it means.
Well, then you answer the question. What are you bothering us for?
Please.
I got more to do than answer your silly question.
All right.
I should be down at Raymond Street Jail bailing my old man out.
Yeah. I hope to keep you in there when you go. Look, the word maturity means the state of quality, of being mature, ripeness, or full development. Something that can't get any bigger.
Well, here we are, back to Miss McConnell again.
Yeah.
That's all. Be with us again next week and hear it proven again by Tom Howard, Lulu McConnell, George Shelton, and Harry McNaughton that it pays to be ignorant. Ken Roberts speaking. This is the Armed Forces Radio Service.
Keep milk from souring.
Leave it in the cow.
Correct. Pay that man $8. What is a miser?
A man who eats mice.
Correct. Pay that man $9 because...
It pays to be ignorant. The zaniest of quiz shows, rebroadcast for the American Armed Forces and their allies, and featuring Al Trace's orchestra, Lulu McConnell, Harry McNaughton, George Shelton, and the man who knows it pays to be ignorant, Tom Howard.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, here it is, that menace to education again, with a board of experts who think books are used to put under broken legs of bureaus. First, we have the celebrated author, Mr. Harry McNaughton, who has just written a book entitled How to Dive in an Empty Swimming Pool Without Losing Your Teeth. But here he is, Mr. Harry McNaughton.
I have a poem, Mr. Howard. Hi, little dumpling, my son John went to bed with his breeches on, one shoe off and one shoe on. Boy, was he plastered. Do you know that he put his umbrella in the bed and stood up in the sink all night?
All right.
Demoralizing.
I see. Next, we have a woman who from the back looks like a taxi cab with both doors open. A woman who was so fat she had the mumps for 2 weeks before she knew it. Here she is, the pin-up girl of the hobo camps, Miss Lulu McConnell.
You know, Mr. Howard, I met a very old friend of mine last week.
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen her all for 10 years.
All right.
Mrs. Donaldson. You didn't know her, did you?
No, I didn't know her, no.
Well, a funny thing, I'd only been talking to her about a minute when she got very angry at me, and for nothing.
Well, what did you say to her?
I just asked her how her husband was standing the heat.
Well, that's nothing to get angry about.
Certainly not. How did I know her husband had been dead 5 years?
I thought that... All right. Next we have our third and last expert, a man who, when he was in the third grade of school, his teacher used to send him home for not shaving. A man who was always changing his mind, but he never seems to get a better one. Here he is, confusion on legs, Mr. George Shelton.
Say, Mr. Howard, you'll never guess who I met on Broadway today.
I'll never guess because I'm not going to try.
Oh, but this will surprise you. Go ahead and guess.
I don't want to guess.
Oh, go ahead. Just make one guess.
I tell you, I don't want to play any guessing games.
So you won't guess who it was, huh?
No.
Gee, I wish you would, because I don't know who it was.
Okay.
Oh, my word.
What is that? Well, there they are, folks. From now on, this program takes a turn for the worse.
Got me in a quarry.
All right, a quarry. You got a head of like stone. No wonder you're in a quarry. First question tonight comes from a Miss Mary Ann Gutman of Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Oh, pardon me, Mr. Howard. Mary Ann isn't in North Carolina. You're thinking of Charlotte, her sister.
Her sister.
Certainly, that's right.
Yeah, lovely girl, Charlotte, but she puts too much rouge on her face.
Oh, a regular Charlotte Rouge.
Charlotte
Rouge.
Charlotte Rouge. All ready?
Charlotte Rouge!
I don't get it.
I don't. Please, will you cut it out? You're starting early tonight, you guys. I haven't got to the first question yet.
What was the question?
All right, here it is. Pay attention. What office does a presidential candidate seek?
You mean he's looking for an office? How much rent does he want to pay? I got a friend of mine who's got an office. He'll rent him half of it.
Well, you know, it's awfully hard to get office space these days. I mean, things are so crowded. You see. Now, you take the buses. The buses are so crowded, even the men are standing.
Even the men
You said it. Why, I was in Washington the other day, and boy, is that town crowded.
Wonder why Washington is so crowded.
Well, it must be because there are so many people there.
You know, I think you're right, Mr. McNaughton.
Thank you.
It may be just a coincidence, but I've noticed that whenever a lot of people get on a subway train, it's always crowded.
Isn't that so?
Hey, it's the truth.
Yeah.
I know when I get into a subway train, it's always crowded.
Mr. Connell, if the train was empty when you got on, it would be crowded. Let's get on now with a question. Let's get back to it. What office does the presidential candidate seek? Do any of you know anything about politics?
Oh, politics. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. I think they're making our congressmen work much too hard, Mr. Howard. They need more rest.
What makes you think so?
Well, when a man has to make a speech lying down, I'd say he needs a rest.
Oh, now, wait a minute. Where do you get the idea that they make speeches lying down?
Oh, I read it in the paper, old boy. I read it myself. It said Congressman so-and-so made a brilliant speech from the floor of the House.
From the floor?
I heard it. I read it.
Miss McNaughton, if your face had a more intelligent expression, I'd think you were kidding.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Mr. McNaughton is a college man.
Okay.
Why, he was the head of his fraternity.
I know, a frat head. I know that. Let's go here.
Oh, is that so? Is that so? I'll have you know someday I may be president.
Yeah.
Don't be silly.
Disgrace. Now, he's got no manners when he eats his food. He's fat and lazy and extremely rude. But if you don't care a feather or a fig, you may grow up to be a pig.
Or would you like to swing on a star, carry moonbeams home in a jar, and be better off than you are? Or would you rather be a fish?
A fish won't do anything but swim in a brook. He can't write his name or read a book.
To fool the people is his only thought. And though he slip away, he still gets caught. But then if that sort of life is what you wish, you too may go up to be a fish.
And all the monkeys are in the zoo. Every day you need quite a few. So you see it's all up to you. You can be better than you are. You could be swinging on a star.
Marvelous music, isn't it? Here's the next question. What is this? What are you laughing at?
Charlotte Rouge.
Oh, Charlotte. He just got it. Please, let's get on here with the program. Here's the next question. Was sent in by a Mr. William Fogelson of Brumpton, New Jersey. Here is his question. Is General MacArthur a captain, lieutenant, or a major? In other words, what rank does he hold?
What is rank?
Well, there are two answers to that, Mr. McConnell.
Well, give me the one that ain't an insult.
Right. Well, let me tell you, rank designates the man's standing or class.
What rank were you in at school, Mr. Shelton?
Wait a minute, you don't use it that way.
Oh. I never went to school. I started right in college.
I see.
Why bother with the middleman?
Why bother with the middleman?
Hey, Miss McConnell, tell me, what did you take up at school?
Space, Mr. MacArthur. The question's not about school, it's about General MacArthur. What rank does he hold?
You know, I think General MacArthur has a lot of class.
Well, what is his class? That's what we're trying to find out.
We're trying to find out his rank.
Well, didn't you say class and rank meant the same thing?
And not the way Miss McConnell was using the word. She was using the vernacular.
Yes, she was using what?
The vernacular.
I was not. We haven't got one of those things in our house.
I see.
I have to sweep the floor with a broom.
You have to... Please, listen, you cylinder heads. The real definition of class is rank.
Well, would you say the orchestra here has a lot of class? Would that mean that they were good?
Using slang, yes. But in reality, it means rank.
Don't you see, Mr. Shelton? Here in the studio, the orchestra's good, but in the alley, they're rank.
Oh. They're rank any place.
They are?
Let's get on there. Let's get back to the question. What does General MacArthur hold? That is, what rank does he hold?
What are the different ranks in the Army, Mr. Howard?
Well, there's a general, a colonel, a major, a captain, first lieutenant, second lieutenant, sergeant, corporal, and private. Private is the lowest.
That's funny. A private told me there was nothing lower than a sergeant.
Nothing lower.
Don't change horses in the middle of the stream. Don't change horses in the middle of a stream. If you want to keep your britches dry. Don't change sweeties in the middle of a dream. Don't change sweeties in the middle of a dream, or you're gonna be a sorry guy. My wise old pappy done told me, don't ever change your bet. You know what you got where you got it, but you don't know what you're gonna get. Hey! Don't change horses in the middle of the stream. Don't change horses in the middle of a stream if you want to keep your britches dry. Hey, gang, that's fun. Let's all join in and sing this tune. Everybody, here we go. All together now. Don't change horses in the middle of the stream. Don't change horses in the middle of the stream if you want to keep your britches dry. Don't change sweeties in the middle of the dream. Don't change sweeties in the middle of the dream, or you're gonna be a sorry guy. My wise old pappy done told me, don't ever change your bet. You know what you got where you got it, but you don't know what you're gonna get. Hey! Don't change horses in the middle of the street. Don't change horses in the middle of the street if you want to keep your britches dry. Silly little thing, but it's cute. Let's play the horses, boys. Come on.
your britches dry.
That bunch must have taken music lessons in a night school during a blackout, if you ask me. Don't know what this is going to wind up in. Flute player is trying to steal the limelight, if you ask me. There they go. They must have their music mixed up someplace. There they are. There goes McConnell's bridge work. They're sliding into them notes very easily. You had told me last week that this orchestra would get worse, I wouldn't have believed them, huh?
What are you talking about? That's a swell orchestra.
Yeah.
And all those guys are nice to boot.
Yeah. Well, remind me to boot them sometime. Well, this is where we ask the studio audience to help us out, ladies and gentlemen. We have invited two members of the audience up here on the stage. They can ask the experts a question. If they get the intelligent answer, we give them 1 day's turnover of the Federal Reserve Bank. If they don't, we see that they don't leave us empty-handed. Who is our first guest, Mr. Roberts?
Our first guest tonight, Mr. Howard, is Private First Class Raymond Westfall of the United States Army.
Good evening, Private Westfall. We're very happy to have you with us. How do you feel, Private?
A little bit nervous.
Oh, well, don't be nervous in the service, sir. Well, we're very glad to have you with us. Where is your hometown, would you care to tell us?
Seattle, Washington.
Oh, way from Seattle, Washington.
Seattle, Washington. Well, wrinkle my head and call me the Brown.
I call you
What? I used to work in that town.
No, why don't you stop?
No kidding. I was a sergeant in a dentist's office.
You were a sergeant in a dentist's office?
I used to drill teeth.
You used to...
I imagine that would get very boring.
Yeah, it would get... Pay no attention to them, Sergeant. They're in their second childhood, I might add. What are you doing in New York? On a furlough or something?
No, sir, I'm stationed here.
Oh, you're stationed here. How do you like New York?
Well, it's a nice big city, but I'd rather be back in Seattle.
Well, I suppose you would.
Hey, you know, Private, I was in the last war, you know. I was in the parachute division, yes. Well, do I remember my first jump. The captain said to me, when you jump, count 10 and then pull the string, you see. So I jumped, counted 10 and pulled the string.
What happened?
My pajamas fell off.
Please. Mr. McNaughton, will you please cut out the horseplay?
Oh, very embarrassing, old boy. I mean, swinging up there in the air without pajamas.
Yeah.
Awfully drafty, you know, around the early dawn.
Around the early Tell me, please. I hope they're not tiring you out here, Sergeant. What did you do before you went into service?
I worked in the post office.
Oh, in the post office. A man of letters, I see. Well, we're mighty glad.
I used to play post office.
All right. We're mighty glad to have you with us, I'm sure.
What's your first name, honey?
Raymond.
What?
Ray.
Raymond.
Oh, is that cute?
Yeah.
You're a cute kid, too. You sure are. Well, I tell you, you can just call me Evening Star. I come out at night.
So does your teeth. Come out at night. With your face, you should stay in. Will you reach into the dunce cap there, Sergeant, and pick a question for us? And would you be kind enough to read the question, please? Just read it right into the microphone, if you will.
After what day in the week is the Saturday Evening Post named?
After what day? That's a very good question. After what day in the week is the Saturday Evening Post named?
Oh, I think my word, you know, that's a very, very interesting question.
Yes, I'm glad you like it.
Oh, indeed, I like it very much. We must get together sometime and discuss it over a cup of tea.
Now, never mind. We'll discuss it right now. After what day in the week is the Saturday Evening Post named? It's a very simple question with a very simple answer.
Columbus Day.
Why Columbus Day?
Well, that's the simplest answer I can think of.
I see. Miss McConnell, I've seen better heads than yours on rusty nails. The question's not about Columbus Day. It's about a magazine.
Oh, you know, I used to write for magazines.
You did?
They never sent me any, though.
They never sent you. The magazine I'm talking about was founded by Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah, who lost it?
Who lost what?
The magazine Benjamin Franklin found.
I didn't say he found it.
You certainly did. I heard you. I got ears.
Well, give them back to the jackass or get them all dead. I said found it.
Well, where did he found it?
I founded a magazine once on the subway.
Look, I'm talking about the Saturday Evening Post.
I didn't find it near a post. It was on a seat.
I said Saturday.
Oh, no, it wasn't Saturday. It was on a Friday.
A Friday.
I remember we had fish for dinner. Had broiled snapper.
All right.
Lovely.
Too bad the bones didn't stick in your throat. Mr. McNaughton, if they ever award stripes for stupidity, you're going to look like a zebra.
Oh, I saw a zebra up at the zoo yesterday.
Oh, you were at the zoo yesterday?
Yeah.
So was I.
You were? What cage were you in?
I was in the pool with the sea lions.
Yeah.
It was cooler there.
I imagine.
Oh, is that you? You had a raw fish in your mouth.
Yeah. Tasty, too.
Tasty, too.
What were you doing up at the zoo?
Well, I went up to take pictures of the animals, but instead the animals took pictures of me.
Mr. Sheldon, animals don't carry cameras.
Well, I saw a bear with a little brownie.
Luella! Where'd you get that fella?
There's a certain flirting gal in town, Luella Brown. She gets around. Why, every night she has a different guy. As she walks by, the girls all cry. Hey, Luella, where'd you get that fella? What a lucky girl you are, Luella. Cinderella would envy you, Luella, if she ever saw you with your fella. I know he weighs a ton. I know his feet are flat. But after all, in times like these, a girl gets used to that. Hey, Luella, where'd you get that fella? Tell me where you got him, Luella.
Mr. Roberts.
Our next guest, Mr. Howard, is Specialist X, third class, Scotty Hanna of the Waves.
Well. Good evening, Miss Hanna. I want to thank you for coming up here. It was real nice of you to come up here and face these bunch of nitwits. Where's your hometown, Miss Hanna? Would you care to tell us?
Los Angeles, California.
Los Angeles, California. Well, my, oh, my. That's quite a ways from home you are, Miss Hanna.
Miss Hannah's a wave, isn't she, Mr. Howard?
That's right, Mr. McNaughton. She's a wave.
Very nice wave, too.
Fine. Mr. McNaughton, you're out of order.
Am I?
Reminds me of my girl. I went to see her last night. We were sitting on the porch, not saying a word, and then she said to me, Georgie, I'll give you a kiss for your thoughts. And you know what happened?
No, what happened?
I wasn't thinking of a darn thing.
Extraordinary, you know. I get caught that way very often.
All right. Don't let them annoy you, Miss Hanna. Are you just visiting here in New York?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Let me ask you something. Are you married?
No.
You're not married.
Well, honey, you just wait till the right man comes along.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah. How do you know he was the right man?
I told him.
You told him. Don't pay any attention to me. You look very cute there in your uniform.
She certainly does. How do you like my dress, honey? This is my favorite dress. You know, I practically live in this outfit.
Yeah? Looks like you take in rumors, too. Will you reach into the dunce cap there, Miss Anna, and pick out a question for us? Just pick out any question you get a hold of. And would you read the question, please?
What is the difference between an optimist and a pessimist?
What's the difference?
That's what I say. What's the difference?
Oh, wait a minute. I was just repeating the question. What is the difference between an optimist and a pessimist?
I got a brother who's a dentist. He's a pessimist.
He is?
Yeah, he always looks down in the mouth.
Please, let's answer this. What is the difference between an optimist and a pessimist?
Well, that reminds me, old chap. I have to see my optimist about my eyes.
You're talking about an oculist, an eye doctor.
Oh, no, Mr. Howard. Oh, no. An oculist is one of those things with a lot of legs.
No. That's octopus. A big clumsy-looking thing with a big, thick body.
Now we're...
Don't say it, Mr. McNaughton. I know what you were going to say.
Yeah?
Don't you call me an octopus.
Look, I'm trying to find out the difference between an optimist and a... Mr. Sheldon, did you ever go to school?
Once I did.
Well, I bet you were at the end of your class.
So what? You learn the same thing at both ends.
Oh, well, that's fine. Say, will you fellas please take an afternoon off someday next week and learn something new for a change? Well, this is about the place we have our crackpot question, ladies and gentlemen. Well, here is the crackpot question. It was sent in by Mr. Amos Woods of Wheeling, West Virginia. You are to name this famous American actress. She was born in Philadelphia of a famous theatrical family. She has a brother named Lionel Barrymore. Her first name is Ethel. You have seen her name in bright lights on Broadway. She rose quickly to fame. What's her name?
Broadway Rose.
Broadway. That is wrong, I might tell you, Mr. Sheldon.
Well, you did tell me.
All right. Every week has been wrong, you crackpot.
All right, I can't help it. I'm worried, that's all.
You're worried? What are you worried about?
Worried about a lot of things. I went home the other night to take a bath.
Yeah?
And I found a horse in the bathtub.
Now, wait a minute. A horse?
What did you do?
A horse in your bathtub?
Yeah,
Let me ask them, Mr. McNaughton, will you?
With pleasure.
Yeah. What did you do, Mr. Sheldon? I'm anxious to know.
Well, when I saw the horse in the
You
bathtub...
pulled the plug out. Ah, cut it out. That is wrong. That, Mr. Wood, $8.40
Have a great joke.
All right. You can have it. Because it pays to be ignorant.
It pays to be ignorant, to be dumb, to be dense, to be ignorant. It pays to be ignorant just like me.
Well, there you are, folks. It's time to say goodnight for Harry McNaughton, Lulu McConnell, George Sheldon, Al Trace, and his band.
When I was just a school kid, I wasn't awfully bright. I had a pretty teacher who made me stay in each night, so you see it pays.
This is Tom Howard saying good night and good nonsense.
This is the Armed Forces Radio Service.
What is an optimist?
A person who does a crossword puzzle in ink.
Correct. Pay that man $8. What do they call the inhabitants of Egypt?
People.
Correct. Pay that man $9 because...
It pays to be ignorant. A zany half hour with those masters of insanity, Harry McNaughton, George Shelton, the nail-up girl Lulu McConnell, and featuring Doc Novik's orchestra. But now, here's the man who proves it pays to be ignorant, Tom Howard.
Well, here it is again, that quiz program which is making the monkeys think they are pretty smart. With a board of experts who are fast becoming an institution, and that's where they belong. First, we have the celebrated author, Mr. Harry McNaughton, who has just written a book entitled How to Understand the Einstein Theory, or 3 Easy Ways to Fall Out of a Boat. But here he is, Mr. Harry McNaughton.
I have a poem, Mr. Howard.
You'll never fail.
Yes, there was a young fellow named Paul who went to a fancy dress ball, but sad to relate, he dressed up as a steak and was eaten with relish by all.
I hope he was tender.
Yeah, another fellow went as a pound of butter, you know. He wanted to spread himself.
Oh, cut it out, please. Next, we have a woman who is so big when she goes out at night, she has to wear headlights. A woman who is so stout, they have to grease her hips to get her through the hollow tunnel. Here she is, as much of her as we could get in the studio, Miss Lulu McConnell.
You know, Mr. Howard, I'm through with horse racing.
You're wise, Miss McConnell. Running around those tracks is too strenuous for a woman of your age.
They really took me to the cleaners yesterday.
I see. I thought you looked fresher this evening.
You know, I put everything I had on one horse.
Miss McConnell, you couldn't get everything you have on one horse.
Is that so? One of these nights I'm going to give you a piece of my mind.
I see. Well, you better keep it. You can't afford it. Next, we have a man who was such a mean kid, his parents ran away from home. A man who spent 3 days in a revolving door looking for the doorknob, Mr. George Shelton. Mr. Shelton.
Say, you know, Mr. Howard, coming up to the studio this evening, I lost my checkbook.
Yeah, well, that isn't serious.
No, but it would have been if I hadn't been so smart.
You were smart?
Yeah.
This I gotta hear.
Yeah. You see, no one else can use them but me.
How come?
I signed every one of the checks with my name.
Mr. Sheldon, if you have a brain, it's overdrawn. Well, here is the first question on the docket for this evening. Pay attention. The question's about animals. Here's the question. What is the habitat of the Bengal tiger?
Yes.
What is what, Mr. Howard?
Now, what is the habitat of the Bengal tiger?
He means what are the habits of the Bengal tiger?
I don't mean habits. I mean habitat. Let me put it this way. Where is the Bengal tiger's abode?
Oh, that's my favorite dessert. Pie a la bode.
Mr. Howard, did you say abode?
I said abode.
That's what I thought you said, you know that? I thought you said that.
Uh-huh.
Carry on.
Carry on.
Chin up, stout fella.
Cut it out, will you? You mean none of you know where the Bengal tiger can be found?
Who lost him, Mr. Howard?
Please.
Well, why don't you put an ad in the paper, Mr. Howard?
Look.
That wouldn't do any good, you know. Tigers can't read.
Tigers can't read. No, all right, please.
Hey, how did you come to lose him?
I didn't lose him.
Well, how do you like that he didn't lose him?
Look.
Well, what are you asking us to look for him if you didn't lose him?
I asked you where he could be found.
Then he must be lost.
Wait a minute, will you please?
Mr. Howard, tell me, doesn't the tiger belong to the cat family?
Yes, that's right. The tiger is a member of the cat family.
Then why don't you ask Mrs. Katz where he is?
Mrs. Miss McConnell, you have a one-track mind.
I have?
Yes, and there's always a troop train on it. Look, let's get started here. I'm trying to find where the Bengal tiger is found, or rather, what part of the world the Bengal tiger lives.
That's 3 times he's changed the question.
Yeah, I wish you'd change the animal. I don't like tigers. I like kangaroo.
Kangaroo.
They're much cuter.
Oh, yes. I saw a kangaroo up at the zoo yesterday. It was carrying 2 little baby kangaroos in front of it.
2 baby kangaroos?
Yes, it opened a second front.
You know, I saw a kangaroo up there the other day, and it was crying its eyes out.
No.
What was the matter?
Well, you see, the baby kangaroo ran away and left Mama holding the bag.
Left Mama. To that part of the program where we ask the studio audience to help us out. We've invited 2 members of the audience up here on the stage. They can ask the experts a question. If they get an intelligent answer, we give them the controlling interest in the Columbia Broadcasting System. If they don't, we give them the experts if they'll take them. Who is our first guest this evening, Mr. Roberts?
Our first guest, Mr. Howard, is Technician 4th grade Jesse Kaplan of the United States Army.
Well, that's fine. How do you do, sir? Technician, 4th grade. Well, we have something in common. 4th grade, that's as far as I got in school. So, let's get going. Where
I
are
never
you?
made the grade.
What's that?
I never made the grade.
Oh, never mind. Where are you from, Jesse Kaplan? That is your hometown. Would you care to tell us?
Oh, yeah, I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn?
Oh, boy, they're one of our allies.
One of our allies. All right.
I used to work in that town.
Ain't this terrible?
I was a barber at a soda water fountain.
You were a barber at a soda fountain?
Yeah, I used to shave the ice.
Well.
Mr. Kaplan, if these jerks are annoying you, I'll have them exterminated. What are you doing here? I suppose you're home on a furlough, is that right?
That's right,
Well, that's
Howard.
fine. I hope you're enjoying yourself. What did you do before you entered the service?
I was a writer.
You were a writer? What kind of a writer?
I used to write gags for radio comedians.
So you're one of those guys, are you?
Yeah.
I've always wanted to meet one of you fellas. You wrote gags for radio. What kind of... Say, would you, just for instance, would you tell us one of your gags for a change?
Well,
Have you got one you could tell us? Like,
let's see. Oh, yeah, I got one.
Yeah.
A friend of mine went to see a doctor about a week back.
About a week back?
Yeah, and the doctor asked him, when did he get the week back? And he said, about a week back.
Well, now I know why you're in the 4th grade.
Changing the subject, Sergeant Captain, I was in the last war, yes. Never forget one night the captain said, you won't have to do guard duty tonight, so I called up my girl and said, let's go out, dear, I'm not on guard.
Yeah, what did she say?
She said, you may not be on guard, but I am.
Mr. McCall, now thank you not to interrupt while I'm talking to a guest. Are you having a good time?
I always have a good time.
I'm not talking to you.
Oh, thanks for the favor.
Pay no attention. We're very, very glad to have you with us.
Yeah, what's your first name, honey?
Jesse, sweetheart.
What?
Jesse, sweetheart.
I'm getting a break. Ain't he cute, Mr. Howard?
Yes, he is cute.
Oh, boy, what a man.
You waited.
You
waited a long...
darling. You can just call me Lady Godiva.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have such beautiful hair.
You have.
Yes.
You look more like a horse than you Well, Jesse, we've enjoyed having you with us. Will you reach into the dunce cap there and pick out a question for us? And when you get a hold of one, would you kindly read it right into the microphone, if you will?
Oh, I have it right here. How many instruments are there in a string quartet?
How many instruments are there in a string quartet?
Well, Mr. Howard, that's a musical question, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a musical question.
Yes.
No, I beg to differ with you two gentlemen. I say it is not a musical question.
That's right.
Well, what kind of a question is it?
On high and impartial authority, I would say it is a mathematical question.
I see.
And no other expert can make that statement.
I see. Will you stay away from Ken Roberts?
That's right.
How absurd.
Let's get on here.
How utterly absurd. Any moron would know it's a musical question. Just ask Mr. Howard.
That's right.
I see.
And that's beside the point. I say the question is a mathematical question because it asks how many instruments, not what kind of instruments.
That's right.
Well, now, wait a minute, Mr. Sheldon. Mr. Sheldon has a point there. You could call it a mathematical question.
That's right.
Do you mind if I call it a musical question?
I don't care what you call it. Just try and answer.
Well, I'm going to call it a mathematical question.
That's right.
What are you going to call the question, Miss McConnell?
What was the question?
Miss McConnell, if you ever change your mind, try and get a better one, will you? Look, do any of you know what a musical instrument is?
Do we? Why, rather. What do you mean, Mr. Howard? Why, I play musical instruments, especially the mouth organ.
All right.
In fact, I have my mouth organ right here with me.
Never mind.
See here? Wait, I'll play it for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you got the mouth organ in your mouth, but I can't hear anything.
I'm playing Silent Night.
And he played it beautifully. Yeah. Mr. McNaughton, your IQ is lower than the Brooklyn Dodgers. Let's get on here. Keep on up. Let's get on. Mr. Sheldon, did you ever hear of Gershwin?
No, I did not.
Well, did you ever hear of Damrosch?
No, I did not, and I never heard of Victor Herbert either.
Victor Herbert either? That's where I'd like to see you under ether. Let's get out there.
Hey, Mr. Howard, I play a wonderful violin, too. In fact, I can play anything on a violin.
Yeah, but you can't play a piano on it. I was quite a musician in my younger days.
You were?
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine that, but you have some memory of your younger days.
Yeah, when I was 1 year old, I played on the linoleum.
I tried the linoleum, but I slipped up on it.
Cut it out. Why don't you two find a scrap heap someplace and lay down on it? Now, look, we have a musical question here.
Oh, musical, yes. I was at a musical gathering the other night. The Concert 5 played Beethoven.
How was it?
Beethoven lost, 5-2.
Now, here is the next question. It's rather unusual. I have here a short biographical sketch of a very famous person. I will assume the character of this person you are to try and identify him.
Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln. Not so fast. I haven't given you the first clue yet.
Just shows you how fast I am.
Yeah, all right. See how fast you can get the question. See if you can identify this person by the description I give you. I was a great explorer. I was born in Italy in the year 1436, the son of a woolcomber.
You were born in 1436?
That's right.
Why, Mr. Howard, you don't look that old.
Oh, now, look, please.
Why, dear, no, you don't look a day over 70.
I see. Well, I worry a lot, Mr. McNaughton.
Thank you.
I'm just representing his character.
You mean you were his agent?
Look, I'm taking his identity. I was born in Italy, 1436, the son of a woolcomber.
The son of a what?
The son... Woolcomber. After I left school, I went to sea. Now, who am I?
Oh, that's easy. You're Tom Howard.
I'm Tom Howard. Wait a minute. I know I'm Tom Howard, but right now I'm someone else.
Well, I hope the change is an improvement.
Who are you now? What's your first name, honey?
Cut it out. Look, I'll give you another clue. One day, while playing with an egg, I decided the world was round. Now, who am I?
He still doesn't know who he is. Why don't you call up the Bureau of Missing Persons?
First he loses a tiger, now he's lost himself.
Well, what can you expect from a man who goes around playing with eggs? And the price of eggs today. You know what I paid for eggs today? 69 cents a dozen.
All right.
69 cents a dozen for eggs.
You paid
almost 5 cents each.
Okay.
69 cents.
Terrible.
Well, I mean, Miss McConnell, after all, that's not so expensive, not when you consider that an egg is a whole day's work for a chicken.
That's right. And the superintendent has to eat, too.
Who's the superintendent?
The rooster.
Well, you'll see, Miss Smith, pay attention here. As I said before, after deciding the world was round, I went to Spain, and I met Queen Isabella.
You did? Tell me, how is the old girl?
She is. I told the Queen I wanted some ships. I didn't get the ships, but the Queen believed in me, so what did she do?
She taught you how to swim.
She pawned all her jewels, gave me the money to buy ships so I could discover America. Now, who am I?
All those ships and he's still lost.
Well, let me make it simple. Who discovered America?
Well, don't look at me. I've been out of town.
Let me put it this way. What is the name of the circle at 59th and Broadway?
You mean where that big statue is in the middle of it?
That's right.
There's a man on top of the statue?
Right. Now, who am I?
Oh, statue!
Statue? guest, Mr. Roberts, please.
Well, our next guest, Mr. Howard, is leading airwoman Helen Brown of the Royal Canadian Air Force.
Good evening, Miss Brown, and thank you for coming up. How do you feel, Miss Brown?
Very well, thank you, Mr. Howard.
Well, that's very nice. Your hometown, would you care to tell us, please?
Toronto, Ontario.
Toronto, Ontario. That's fine. Well, great town. Been there many times. Shea Theater's still there, I guess.
Yes, it is.
Oh, isn't that great? I bet they're proud of you back home. How long have you been in the service?
About 17 months, Mr. Howard.
17 months. Well, great. And I bet you like it, too.
Oh, I love it very much.
Yes, I imagine you do.
You know, Mr. Hart, I used to know a girl from Toronto.
You did?
Yeah, lovely girl.
Okay.
But what a character her old man was.
Tell us about it.
Well, it's quite a story. You see, about 25 years ago, he went up to that town to live.
Yeah?
Didn't have a cent. He bought a wheelbarrow on credit and started in the junk business. And how much do you think he's worth today?
Well, tell me, how much is he worth?
Not a cent. And not only that, but he still owes for the wheelbarrow.
Isn't that fun?
Can you imagine that still owing for the wheelbarrow?
Yeah.
His credit must be good.
Yes, credit must be fine. All right. Will you stop? If these nitwits are annoying you, Miss Brown, just say so and I'll throw acid in their face. How do you like New York?
I like it very much.
Have you met any of the boys down here yet?
No.
How do you like the boys in New York compared with the boys in Toronto? Oh, are you married?
No, I'm not.
Well, then you can answer that. How do you compare the boys with New York to the boys in Toronto?
Well, I don't know any boys in New York.
You don't know any boys? You haven't met any?
No.
Well, listen, you haven't been around much. I imagine all you've got to do is walk one block. I mean, with your appearance.
You know, Miss Brown, I was a doctor in the last war.
You were a doctor?
I remember a soldier came to me with a weak back, so I asked him how long he'd had a weak back, and he said... So he said about a week back.
He said about a week back,
I don't get it.
Mr. McNaughton, let me inform you that the sergeant a few minutes ago told that gang.
Oh, so that's what I heard.
Please. I hope they're not annoying you, Miss Brown.
I love your uniform, honey. I bet you're a pin-up girl for some lucky soldier.
Oh, yeah.
I bet she is. Do you think I'd make a good pin-up girl?
Only in a bowling alley, Miss for us, please. And would you be kind enough to read the question when you get one? Just take your time and read it.
In which season of the year do people take their summer vacation?
Very good. In what season of the year do people take their summer vacation? Did you hear the question, Mr. McNaughton? Mr. McNaughton, are you over there?
No, I'm over here. You're over there.
Boy, the guy is still lost.
Look, the question's about summer vacation.
I wish I could take a vacation.
Yeah.
Oh, this heat's been terrible.
Yeah, well, you don't look so hot.
But I'm sleeping better lately. I bought one of those inner spring mattresses.
You did?
Yeah.
You didn't have to wear it to the studio tonight. The question is, in what season of the year do people take a summer vacation?
My wife and I went to Asbury Park for our vacation.
You did?
Yes, and the clerk at the hotel asked us the silliest questions. Asked us if we wanted twin beds.
Well, what's silly about that?
My wife and I aren't twins. I mean, silly, we don't even look alike.
You don't look alike? Oh. I imagine you wouldn't look alike. Your wife, no doubt, has a head. But let's get on here.
Well, say, there's no crowding. The hotels are crowded this year.
All right.
Why, the only room they gave me at Ocean Grove was a single room with running water. I don't like to sleep with strangers.
All right, never mind.
I spent my vacation in Atlantic City. I never had any trouble getting a room. I stopped at the Benjamin Franklin Hotel.
Wait a minute. The Benjamin Franklin Hotel's in Philadelphia.
Is it?
Yes.
Well, no wonder it was such a long walk to the beach.
on with the program before someone starts another monologue.
Oh, I just got a new monologue from Sears Roebuck this morning.
You got a new monologue from Sim. Miss McConnell, you mean catalog. That's a book showing the things the store has for sale.
Oh, no, you're wrong, Mr. Howard, I think, yes. You're referring to a dialogue.
Oh, I am.
Yes.
Miss McNaughton, you're nuts. A dialogue is a conversation between two people.
Then what's a pollywog? Answer me that. What's a pollywog?
Ain't that awful? All right, a pollywog is, well, it's a ugly-looking animal, makes funny noises, and keeps getting bigger all the time. The older it gets, the more it croaks.
Now we're back to Miss McConnell again.
This is the Armed Forces Radio Service.
What did the little dog say when he sat on the sandpaper?
Ruff, ruff.
Correct. Pay that man $8. Why don't the girls in Sun Valley take sunbaths?
Because the mountains peak.
Correct. Pay that man $9 because...
It pays to be ignorant. A zany half hour with those masters of insanity, Harry McNaughton, George Shelton, the nail-up girl Lulu McConnell, and featuring Doc Novik's orchestra. But now, here's the man who proves it pays to be ignorant, Tom Howard.
Well, here is that quiz program again, which has all the educators hollering uncle. With a board of experts who are so up on current events, they're going to vote for McKinley this election. First, we have the celebrated author, Mr. Harry McNaughton, who has just written a book entitled, He Who Carries Tales Makes a Monkey of Himself. But here he is, Mr. Harry McNaughton.
I have a poem, Mr. Howard.
I see.
I knew a young girl named Passion. I asked her for a date. I took her out for dinner. My, how Passion ate.
How Passion ate. That's terrible. All right, please, let's get on here. Next, we have a woman who should have been born in the Dark Ages because she looks terrible in the light. A woman who, when she wears slacks, looks like she's walking around sitting down. Here she is, Miss Lulu McConnell.
You know, Mr. Howard, I had the nicest compliment paid to me yesterday.
You did?
Yep. I met an artist.
An artist?
Yep. He offered me $2,500 if I'd let him paint me.
Let him paint you?
Yep.
Did you accept his offer?
I was tempted to. When I figured out what a terrible job I'd have scraping all that paint off of me.
Yeah, that would be tough. Yeah, it wouldn't be worth the $25.
No.
All right, let's get on here. Next, we have a man whose pan should be under somebody's icebox. A man who can't count up to 20 without taking his shoes off
Here he is, Mr. George Shelton.
Say, speaking about painting, Mr. Hart, I tell you about my Uncle Webb put up on the farm?
No.
You know, yeah, he was painting one of his big barns up there, and he fell off a 60-foot ladder.
Goodness, was he hurt?
No, didn't even get a scratch.
You mean your uncle fell off a 60-foot ladder and didn't get a scratch?
That's right, yeah, he fell off the first rung.
He fell off the first rung. That's terrible. Mr. Sheldon, you should have your neck wrung for that one. Now, let's get on here. Here's the first question. Pay attention, see if we can get an answer tonight. Now, let's put our best foot forward, will you please?
Right.
Here's the question. Is it true that Eskimos rub each other's noses, and why do they do it?
Why do they do what?
Why do they rub each other's noses?
Maybe they're rich.
Maybe they're rich. All right. Miss McConnell, do you know what an Eskimo is?
That's a sort of a pie, ain't it?
No, it isn't.
With ice cream in it?
No.
Oh, that's silly. I mean, why would a couple of pies rub each other's noses?
No.
In the first place, a pie hasn't got a nose.
I see.
Oh, he had an awful lot of crust. He had a lot of crust pulling that gag.
Yeah, he had an awful crust. You too, Mr. Sheldon.
Yeah, I guess I
Why
did.
don't you go outside and get hit with a truck? Let's get on there, please, with the program. It's about Eskimos. Now, look. Eskimos.
Yeah, Eskimos?
In Alaska.
Oh, in Alaska.
Alaska.
Oh, that's pretty cold country up there, that
Well,
Alaska.
you know that.
Yeah. You know, I understand that they put alcohol in their whiskey.
Up in Alaska. Must be cold.
Oh, I know it well, you know, Alaska. Very cold up there.
Uh-huh.
I had an uncle who lived up there. One day he stooped over to tie his shoe.
Yeah.
And froze to death right in that position.
In the position.
Heavens, that was terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, it was too bad. We had to bury him in a bass drum.
I see.
Boy, can you beat that?
Never mind, please. Will you cut out those awful puns? Miss McNaughton, why don't you bore a hole in yourself and let the sap run out?
Oh, I tried that once, and it ran all over the furniture.
The sap ran all over the furniture?
Yeah, from then on, we had maple furniture.
Isn't that cute?
I'm incorrigible tonight.
You are incorrigible.
Maybe not.
You are. Not only are you incorrigible, you're nutty, if you know what I mean. We're talking about Alaska.
What is corrigible, that thing? What does it mean?
Never mind. Let it pass. You wouldn't know, Mr. Sheldon. No.
I wouldn't like it up in Alaska.
You wouldn't like it in Alaska?
No, I certainly would not. I remember one time I got a frostbite.
Yeah, what'd you do?
I bit right back.
You bit back. You bit it back.
Yeah.
What with, Miss McConnell? Let's get on.
Oh,
there.
she had him in that night. Wait, I don't like that cold weather up there. I remember one time I was stopping at a farm up in Minnesota, and boy, was it cold.
Yeah,
I woke up one morning, and the pump was frozen stiff.
The pump.
The milk was stiff. The
Yeah.
cows were stiff.
Uh-huh.
The chickens were stiff.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing so bad myself.
I
It gets pretty cold down where I live in the winter.
It gets cold where you live?
Yep. I remember one morning last winter, I woke up, it was 10 in my room.
10 in your room.
I couldn't sleep with that many in my room.
Hey, you're getting silly. The question is, why do Eskimos rub noses?
Say, Mr. Howard, did you know that the Eskimos rub noses the first 3 years, and then the 4th year they kiss?
The first 3 years and the 4th year they kiss.
That's novel. You know, the 4th year they kiss?
Yeah, that's lip year.
That's lip
That's fine. Thank you, Dr. Novick. That was played very short and very sweet. By the way, the change tonight, let's hear from one of our contestants. We have invited 2 members of the studio audience up here on the stage. They can ask the experts a question. If they get an intelligent answer, we give them Alaska. If they don't, we give them a copy of this week's Liberty magazine.
Oh, say, Mr. Howard, pardon me. I saw Liberty magazine just today.
Yeah, just out.
Just out today. And on page 13, there's a picture of 4 of the homeliest-looking people I ever saw in my life.
In Liberty magazine?
Oh, they're the most stupid-looking people.
Mr. Sheldon, do you realize what you're saying? That's a picture of the 4 of us.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, it was a nice picture.
It was a nice picture, I see.
Well, say, tell me, Mr. Sheldon, does it say anything about us?
Yeah, there was some writing there. I'm going to get a fella to read it to me after the program tonight.
I see, an interpreter like.
Yeah, interpreter, yeah.
You mean you can't read?
No, I can't write neither.
You can't write neither.
You mean you never learned to write?
No, I figured what's the use of learning how to write if I couldn't read what I'd written?
Well, let it go. You can't talk either.
That's kind of hard.
Yeah, let's get on here. We got a guest here. We're very glad to have you with us. How do you feel?
Just fine.
I see. That's very nice. What did you say our friend's name was? Did we get to that?
Well, we didn't know, Mr.
Well, suppose
Howard.
we do. We'd like to know him. He's a nice-looking chap.
Yes, he is. And his name is Corporal Carl Hansen, and he's a member of the United States Army Air Corps.
That deserves a hand. Corporal, that's very nice. We're proud of. We're glad to have you with us. How do you feel?
Just fine, Mr. Howard.
That's the boy. You look great. You certainly look great. Whether you do right here or not, you're in for $25. Let me tell you that right now. We're very, very glad to have you with us. Where is your hometown, would you care to tell us?
Fairhaven, New Jersey.
Fairhaven, New Jersey. Well, think of that. Been down there lots of times. In fact, I know the entire police force in Fairhaven. Yes, sir. He's a very nice fella. I've talked to him many times.
See this guy? Did he say Fairhaven, New Jersey?
Fairhaven, New Jersey.
Well, squirt a hose on me and call me a drip.
Nice. Like you very much.
I used to work in that town.
You did?
Yeah. I was an electrician in a jelly factory.
You were an electrician in the jelly factory?
Yeah, I used to put the currents in the jelly.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I lost the job. I got in a jam and
You're getting worse. Will you keep quiet, Mr. Sheldon? Those puns are getting unbearable.
I say, Corporal, you know, speaking about the Army, I saw a very funny thing today. I saw a colonel with both eagles on one shoulder.
Both eagles on one shoulder?
Yeah.
What was the idea?
Mating season.
Very cute, Mr. McNaughton. Very cute. May I ask you something, Corporal? What did you do before you entered the service?
I was a letter carrier.
Oh, a letter carrier.
Yes.
In Fairhaven.
That's
Well,
right.
Isn't that great? A mailman.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What's wonderful about that? All men are mailmen.
All men. You're downright funny tonight, there, Mr. Sheldon.
I say, tell me, Corporal, if I mail a letter tonight, will it get to Philadelphia tomorrow?
Yes, I think it will.
Well, that's funny. It's addressed to Chicago.
Or something.
Pay no attention to them, Corporal. They're at that age now where they need a teething ring, if you know what I mean.
What's your first name, honey?
Carl?
Carl?
That's right.
Oh, is that a cute name? Look at the lovely smile he's got.
Yeah, he's nice.
Ain't he cute? He's just a love.
All right, please, cut it out.
Well, you can just call me Honeydew
Cut it
Melon.
out.
What?
Go ahead, Miss McCall.
I just wanted you to call me Honeydew Melon.
You wanted to call you Honeydew Melon.
Because I'm so nice and sweet.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, you're just as round and mushy, too. Corporal, before we get in much of a mess with these nitwits here, I tell you what you better do if you will help us out here. Would you reach into the dunce cap there and sort of pick out a question for us, if you will? If you don't mind, would you read the question? Just read it into the microphone in that nice Fairhaven voice of yours.
What kind of power is used to run an electric engine?
Did you hear that, gentlemen? What kind of power is used to run an electric engine? Now, there's a very good question.
Oh, rather, I like a question like that. You know, it's got a lot of up and go about it.
Yeah.
I used to go with a young man once. He sure had a lot of up and go about him.
Yeah, what happened to him?
He up and went.
All right, the question we have before us is about electric engines.
Oh, electric engine. Say, Mr. Howard, did I tell you they're going to build a railroad down in my town? Yeah, and they're going to run the railroad right through my house.
I see.
You're going to be awfully busy, opening and closing the doors.
I'll leave the landlady do that.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
I think so.
Be careful, don't sit in the draft. Let's get on there.
Oh, I'm too old for the draft.
Never mind, please. Do any of you know anything about electric engines?
You won't believe this, Mr. Howard.
No, I certainly will
You
not.
won't believe this.
No, go ahead.
But I've just completed an invention that will revolutionize the whole railroad system.
You have? What is it?
Well, I have an invention where two engines can run on the same track going in opposite directions.
Now, wait a minute. You mean a train leaving New York for Chicago and a train leaving Chicago for New York can both use the same track?
Yeah.
Well, tell me something. What happens when they meet?
But they don't meet. That's where my invention comes in.
Look, I'm a sucker for getting into this thing. But how can you prevent them from meeting if get back to these three old proverbs we have sitting in front of us here. Here's the next question. Pay attention. Which American president do you associate the Monroe Doctrine with? There's a nice question.
Mr. Howard, I hate to do this, but I'm afraid I'll have to ask you, sir, to repeat the question.
Mr. McNaughton, I'll be glad to. What's the matter with your ears? Which American president do you associate the Monroe Doctrine?
Did I tell you about Sadie Wright, Mr. Howard?
What's that got to do with it?
She's been doctoring for the past week.
She's been doctoring, yes.
Yep. Her doctor told her to take 2 aspirins followed by a hot bath.
Yeah.
But she got the aspirin down all right. But she had a terrible time drinking the bath.
I imagine she did.
Yep.
All right, please, Miss McConnell, if anyone explains you to me, I certainly would not believe them. We're talking about the Monroe Doctrine. What president is associated with it?
It wouldn't be Madison, would it?
No, it wouldn't be Madison.
That's what I said. It wouldn't be Madison.
I know you said that, certainly.
Maybe it's Lexington.
Why do you say Lexington?
Well, Lexington is right next to Madison.
I see.
No, Fifth Avenue, Madison, Lexington,
yeah.
Floyd Avenue, the river.
The river. Fall in there, will you, the next time you're down that way? It's about a president we're talking about.
Oh, when I was a little girl, I won an essay contest.
Yes.
And the president invited me to the White House to give me a medal.
Miss McConnell, I don't believe President Lincoln went in for that sort of thing.
That shows how much you know.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't Lincoln. It was Grant.
All right. That's what I'll grant you. Now, let's get on here.
Hey, speaking about president, I wonder why we never had a woman president.
Well, that's simple, Mr. Shelton.
Yeah?
The president, you see, has to be at least 35 years old. Where are you going to find a woman who'll admit she's 35?
I see your point.
Yes.
We still have the question about the president. Which one is associated with the Monroe Doctrine?
Say, speaking about president, Mr. Howard, tell me something. Why do they make such a fuss about President Lincoln starting out as a barefoot boy?
Well, don't you think it's remarkable that anyone starting out as a barefoot boy should grow up to be president?
What's so remarkable? Did you ever hear of anyone being born with shoes on his feet?
Now, will you please try and answer the question? The first thing you know, I'll fire the whole bunch of you. Then how will you keep the wolf from the door?
Oh, is there a wolf at the door?
Oh, it's a wolf at the door.
Oh, let him in.
It's a good idea. Contestant, Mr. Roberts.
Our next contestant, Mr. Howard, is Yeoman, 3rd Class, Rose Elias of The Wave.
Oh, hi. Good evening, Miss Elias, and welcome to It Pays to Be Ignorant. You're looking very chic this evening, I must say. Where is your hometown, would you care to tell us?
Niagara Falls, New York.
Niagara Falls, New York. Wow. I didn't think that place was running yet. Well, it's very nice to have you with us.
Oh, I've been there, Mr. Howard, Niagara
Falls. Been to Niagara Falls?
Oh, rather, yes. In fact, I knew a very charming girl who lived there, yes. She's in uniform now, though. She's in the Foreign Service.
In the Foreign Service?
Yeah, she's a waitress in a Hungarian restaurant.
You know, that's a coincidence, you know.
Really? What?
That's funny.
Yeah.
You know, my girl is in uniform, too, Mr. Howard. She drives a garbage wagon.
She does?
Yeah, she's a whiff.
She's a whiff.
I just got wind of it.
All right, please. Yes.
That must be a swill job, you know. I'm a perfect idiot tonight.
Yeah, Mr. McNaughton, none of us are perfect. Let's get on here. We're very glad to have you with us. Very glad.
Yeah, I love your uniform, honey.
You do?
You look so nice in it.
Fine.
I love pretty clothes.
Yeah, why don't you wear some?
I'll have you know I was voted one of the 10 best dressed women.
Yeah, Miss McConnell, you are the 10 best dressed women. I won't keep you any longer, miss. Would you reach into the dunce cap there and pick out a question for us? And would you be kind enough to read the question, please? Just read it right into the microphone, if you will.
Who was Hamlet talking to in his famous...
Will you help her out there, Mr. Roberts?
Yes. Who was Hamlet talking to in his famous...
Don't tell me. Who writes these things?
That's a very interesting question, you know.
Yes, it is.
That's a very jolly question.
Yeah, we want to find out now who Hamlet was talking to.
Would you mind repeating it?
Would you... maybe Mr. Sheldon could read it. Could you?
Should I hand it to him?
Yeah, hand it to Mr. Sheldon. Yeah.
Who was Hamlet talking to in his famous...
All right, let's call it soliloquy. How is that?
Well, that's what it is, soliloquy.
All right, please. Who was Hamlet talking to in his famous soliloquy?
Who was in the soliloquy with him?
Ah, cut it out. What do you mean, who was in the soliloquy? There was no one in it with him.
No one there? Who was he talking to?
He wasn't talking to anyone.
But you just asked, who was he talking to?
Okay.
Now you say he wasn't talking to anyone. Why don't you make up your mind?
All right. While I'm about it, I'll make up one for you, too. Don't you remember the famous speech in Hamlet? It begins with, to be or not to be. That is the question.
Oh, that's the question. To be or not to be, yeah.
To be or not to be what?
To be or not to be nothing.
That's sillier than the first question you asked.
But that is not the question.
Mr. Howard, you just said it was.
I said no such thing.
Oh, yes, you did. Now, don't try to worm out of it. You said to be or not to be. That was the question.
I didn't say that. Hamlet said it.
Well, throw the bum out.
Miss
imbecile.
Not only that, I'm double-jointed.
Look, in the play Hamlet, there's a scene where Hamlet is on the stage. That's where he does his famous soliloquy.
Yes.
It reads, to be or not to be, that is the question, whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune or to take arms against the sea of trouble and by opposing end them.
That was beautiful, Mr. Howard.
You like that?
Beautiful.
Yeah. Do you know the face on the barroom floor?
Certainly. It was a
It
balmy
always
summer.
makes me cry.
It does? All right. It was a balmy summer evening and a goodly crowd was there that well nigh filled Joe's barroom at the corner of the square, and it's a songs and witty sayings.
That's the part of Hamlet I like.
Now, please. Let's get on here. What am I talking about? Look, Hamlet was alone on the stage.
Mr. Howard, you say he was all alone on the stage?
That's right. Now, who was he talking to?
The face on the barroom floor.
He was not.
He was talking to the audience.
He was not talking to the audience.
You mean the audience wasn't there neither?
It must have been a lousy show.
Folks, by this time you probably realize that you've done better if you'd sat around the house and just played your guitar.
Well, Mr. Howard, that's silly, you know. You don't play a guitar, old boy. That's sort of inflammation of the nose or throat.
Now, Mr. McNaughton, you're talking about guitar. Guitar.
That's my favorite magazine.
What?
Harper's Guitar.
Harper's? That's Harper's Bazaar.
I hate to disagree with you, Mr. Howard. You have in mind a wild animal that looks like a leopard.
What are you talking about? Look, I think you mean a jaguar, Mr. Sheldon. A jaguar, a very powerful animal, yellow in color, big claws, large body, pointed ears, and big feet.
Now we're back to Miss McConnell again.
What's the use? Now, folks, you realize what we mean when we say...
It pays to be ignorant, to be dumb, to be dense, to be ignorant. It pays to be ignorant, just like me. And it's best not to know too much. Be a dope, your IQ shouldn't show too much. Your brain shouldn't grow too much. Wait and see.
This is the Armed Forces Radio Service.
When I was just a school kid, I wasn't awfully bright. I had a pretty teacher who made me stay in each night. So you see, it pays to be ignorant. Have no brain, be insane, just be ignorant. It pays to be ignorant, just like me.
How can you tell a Jersey cow?
By its license plate.
Correct. Pay that man $8. What kind of a person lives the longest?
A rich relative.
Correct. Pay that man $9 because...
It pays to be ignorant. A zany half hour with those masters of insanity, Harry McNaughton, George Shelton, the nail-up girl Lulu McConnell, and featuring Doc Novik's orchestra. But now, here's the man who proves it pays to be ignorant, Tom Howard.
Well, here we are again with that quiz program about which all of America's greatest educators have said phooey. We have a board of experts who don't look as dumb as they are because that would be impossible. Let me prove it. First, we have the celebrated author, Mr. Harry McNaughton, whose latest book entitled Newest Wrinkles in Men's Clothing has just gone to press. But here he is, Mr. Harry McNaughton.
I have a poem, Mr. Howard.
Oh, yes.
Gooey Wooey was a worm, he hadn't any brain, he crawled upon a railroad track, but he didn't hear the train.
Terrible.
Gooey Wooey.
Gooey Wooey. Very good.
That was one thing he couldn't wiggle out of.
Okay. Next, we have a woman who last time she went to Chicago, people thought the Wrigley Building had a new annex. A woman who owes her popularity with men to the fact that her mouth takes a fine place to throw old razor blades. Here she is, Miss Inner Sanctum of 1944, Miss Lulu McConnell.
You know, Mr. Howard, I'm all tired out.
Yeah?
I've been shopping all day.
Shopping?
Yep. My old man thought we ought to have a dog around the house.
I see.
So I went out and bought a lap dog.
A lap dog.
Mm-hmm. And did I get gypped?
You did?
Yep. Every time I try to sit on his lap, he bites me.
That's marvelous. Okay, next we have a man who always goes out with two girls because someone told him he was two-faced. A man who has a habit of finding things that aren't lost, Mr. George Sheldon.
Hey, Mr. Howard, I saw you on the subway this morning.
Yeah? Where'd you get on at?
37th Street?
37th Street? There is no station at 37th Street.
There isn't? Boy, do I need glasses.
You need glasses. You also need a head, if you ask me.
I think I'll have a couple after this show.
Okay, let's get on there. There they are, folks. Don't blame me if you get disgusted quickly. Well, here's the first question. Pay attention, see if we can get it. Now, pay close attention. What town in Massachusetts had the Boston Tea Party? Did you hear the question, Mr. McNaughton?
Oh, yes, I heard the question, Mr. Howard, and I think it's a very good question.
Okay.
It's the nicest question I've ever heard.
All right.
Positively lovely.
All right, Mr. McNaughton.
It's a pretty question.
Mr. Sheldon, can you tell me what town in Massachusetts had the Boston Tea Party?
Springfield.
Just how do you arrive at Springfield?
You take the train at Grand Central, sit there a few
All
hours.
right,
You know, Mr. Howard, there's a town in Massachusetts named after you.
There is, really? What's the name of it?
Marblehead.
Marblehead. Thank you, Miss McConnell. There's a town in Maine named after you.
Yeah, well, what's the name of it?
Moosehead. Don't any of you know about the Boston Tea Party? Do you know anything about it, Mr. McNaughton?
No, I don't, Mr. Howard. For some reason, I wasn't invited.
You wasn't invited.
Hey, Miss McConnell, do you know anything about the Boston Tea Party?
She ought to. She brought the lemon.
Yeah?
You should know something about it.
I did not. I played bridge that night.
You played bridge.
Yeah, but I do love a cup of tea.
You love a cup of tea.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to carry the bags around under your eyes.
You should talk with those pillows under your eyes.
Very good, Miss McConnell. Very good.
That ought to put the old buzzard in his place.
All right. Thank you.
Well, you know, over at our boarding house, they make tea so weak they serve it on crutches.
I see. You served that gag on crutches, too, it sounds to me.
I was out to a tea party out on Long Island.
You were aware, Miss McConnell?
Out on Long Island.
At a tea party.
Uh-huh. It was very nice.
Uh-huh.
We drank tea out of doors.
You did, yes.
That's nice. Drank tea out of doors. Nice party.
Yeah, very nice.
Drank tea out of doors.
I heard it.
Didn't you find that a bit awkward, Mr.
Yeah, I imagine.
I mean, I usually drink tea out of a cup.
All right, please.
Talking about teas and things like I was in a restaurant the other day.
Uh-huh.
I was seated at the table minding my own business. It was getting a little late, so the waitress passed by and I says, Miss, could you tell me the time?
And what did she say?
She says, I'm sorry, I'm not waiting on your table.
I see.
Imagine that. Wouldn't give me the time.
Mr. Sheldon, haven't you read anything about the Boston Tea Party?
No, sir.
Have you read any history?
No, sir.
Well, what have you read?
I have read flannel.
You have, please.
Oh, yeah.
What's the use? At this time, we should hear something from our contestants. We have invited 2 members of the audience up here on the stage. They can ask the experts a question. If they get an intelligent answer, we give them Bing Crosby's Sorry for a year. If they don't, we give them 2 tickets for last week's broadcast. Who have we first, Mr. Roberts?
First, Mr. Howard, we have Sergeant Don Martell of the United States Paratroopers.
How do you do, Sergeant Martell, and thank you a lot for coming up.
I said, Mr. Howard, pardon me, but isn't this the same young man we had up here last week?
It is not the same young man we had last week.
I could have sworn it was, you know.
Yeah.
He's wearing the same kind of clothes.
He's wearing the same kind of... All soldiers wear the same kind of clothes. Please, let's get on here. You are a paratrooper, is that right?
That's right.
My, I'm looking over there. You seem to have been around all those ribbons. Am I right? I see the Silver Star. Is that right, Silver Star?
That's right, it is.
Maple Leaf Cluster?
The Oak Leaf Cluster.
Oh, boy, you have been around, haven't you? Well, boy, that certainly is marvelous, and you're a cinch for $25 here tonight, if anybody is.
You know, Sergeant Martell, I was a paratrooper in the last war.
You were a paratrooper in the last war?
It was much tougher then, you know.
I imagine.
We didn't have parachutes.
You didn't have... Pay no attention.
Much harder on the feet.
I imagine.
Big blisters.
All right, we passed that.
Must have been quite a feat trying the jump.
Will you cut out the pun? Pay no attention, Sergeant. Where's your hometown, would you care to tell?
Olympia, Washington.
Olympia, Washington. Well, they must be proud of you up at Olympia.
Boy, that's nice. Olympia, Washington.
Yeah.
Well, get me plastered and call me Sealy.
Yeah.
Never mind. I used to work in that town, Mr. Howard.
Okay.
I did. I was a physical instructor in a camera store.
You were a physical culture instructor in a camera store?
I used to develop films.
Yeah. Listen, you 3 film brains that are not developed. Pay attention here. I suppose you're in New York on a visit, is that right?
That's right, I am.
Oh, good. What did you do before you went into service?
I was an electrician.
Oh, an electrician.
He's a well-connected young man.
Yeah, electrician. And what is your main work in the service now?
Well, I'm an instructor. I instruct
I see.
The different...
Electrician before you went into the... So you went into the Army and you charged the enemy, I suppose. Well, never mind. Let that go. We're very, very glad to have you...
Where are you down at the battery?
Never mind. Oh, please, don't encourage them.
Well, what's your first name, honey?
Now, what? His first name is Don, is that right?
That's correct.
Don?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice name, isn't it?
Yeah, Don is nice.
He's a nice-looking fellow, isn't he, Mr. Howard?
Yeah, yes,
Ain't he sweet?
Yeah.
Ain't he cute?
Yes, he is. He's very nice boy.
Well, you can just call me Liberty Bell.
Yeah.
I'm so famous.
I see. And you're cracked, too. Would you... Sergeant, would you do us a favor while you're here? Would you reach into the dunce cap there and pick a question for us? And would you be kind enough to read the question, if you will?
How many strokes does it take to make a hole-in-one?
How many strokes does it take to make a hole-in-one? Well, now, here's the golf question, gentlemen. Golf. See what you know about golf? How many strokes does it take to make a hole-in-one?
In one what?
In one... What do you mean, in one what?
Well, you want to make a hole in.
Your head and let the sack run out. I don't want to make a hole in nothing.
How could you make a hole in nothing? That's silly.
You know, Mr. Sheldon, I think Mr. Howard's using a golf term. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. McNaughton.
You're quite welcome, Mr. Howard.
That was nice of you, Mr. McNaughton.
Oh, say nothing about it, old boy. Say nothing about it.
Well, it was very sweet of you.
It was very sweet of you to say so.
I appreciate your feeling in the matter.
Shall we dance?
Shall we dance?
Hey, would you two like to be alone together?
Never mind, please. We have a question here, and as I said before, it's a golf question. Let me explain the game a little. Maybe that'll help you out. Now, to play the game of golf, you start with the tee. We tee up first.
You mean you're going to get teed up to play the game?
Mr. Sheldon, I'm afraid you're a moron.
Yeah, not only that, I bite my fingernails.
I see. Worse.
Don't you file them?
No, just bite them off and throw them away.
All right, never mind that. Now, the tee is a small peg or mound that we place the ball on. Now, there's the cup. We drive from the tee to the cup.
You drive to the cup?
With a tee?
With a tee. No. You leave the tee behind.
And how are you going to get the tee in the cup?
I thought that was coming on.
I always thought golf was a walking game.
That's right. Golf is a walking game.
But you just said you drive to the cup.
You walk after you drive.
Well, can't you drive all the way?
Can't you?
Maybe he's only got an e-book.
Look. There's no car in the game. You drive with the driver.
Oh, you don't drive yourself?
Certainly you drive yourself.
Then why do you need a driver?
Oh, please. Look, you swing the driver around your neck.
Well, wait a minute. What are you talking about, golf or wrestling?
I'm talking about golf.
I wish the driver would swing me around his neck. Oh, boy.
Look, please.
You have to make 3 trips.
Yeah, he would have to make 3 trips. The object is to hit the ball with the head of the driver.
You hit the ball with the head of the driver?
Right.
Isn't that kind of hard on the driver's head?
Look, gentlemen, the driver is a golf club.
Oh, a golf club. Are you a member?
Am I a member of what?
The golf club.
What golf club?
Don't you know what golf club you belong to?
Certainly I know what golf club.
Well, then what are you asking me all about it?
Wait, will you cut it out?
I can get hasty, too.
You can get hasty?
Yeah.
You're getting nutty, too. The golf club I'm talking about is a stick. You drive with it. You look down the fairway and holler 4.
You holler what?
4. You holler 4.
For what?
For nothing. Now, here's the next question. So please, let's all just calm down a little bit. Stay out of these arguments. Here's the question. Now, pay attention. What is a vegetarian? Let me repeat that. What is a vegetarian?
Mr. Howard, isn't that a man who attends to sick animals?
No.
No.
You're wrong, Mr. McNaughton. That's a veterinary.
Oh, no. A veterinary is a man who's been in a previous war.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a veterinary.
You're a veterinary. Mr. Sheldon, that's a veteran.
Oh, no. A veteran is that medicine that you put up your nose when you got a cold.
A veteran. Miss McConnell, that's Fedrin.
You're wrong, Mr. Howard. Absolutely wrong. Fedrin is the government. You know, the Fedrin government.
Hey, terrible. Please.
That's right, Mr. Howard. Miss McNaughton is right. Because my brother-in-law, he's in the Fedrin Penitentiary in Atlanta, Georgia.
Cut it out, please. But I wish you were there with him, Mr. Sheldon.
Oh, that's not nice.
Next time you pay him a visit, stay a while, will you? The question is, what is a vegetarian? Vegetarian. Look, what is it that lives on vegetables alone?
A rabbit, Mr. Howard, a rabbit.
Thank you, Mr. McNaughton.
My son-in-law lives on vegetables.
Oh, really? Is he a rabbit?
No, he's a skunk.
He's a skunk. Well, rabbit or skunk, does he live on vegetables?
No, he lives off me, the lazy bum. He never works.
He never works. I mean, does he eat meat?
He eats anything.
Yeah.
Why, just the other day I caught him trying to beat a mouse to the trap for a piece of cheese.
Oh, you did. Well, some one of you try and answer the question. Now, look, I don't care which one of you answered. One of you, will you try and answer?
Do you mind? What was the question, Mr. Howard?
Oh, you haven't been paying attention.
No, I was wandering a little bit there.
You were wandering. You mean your mind was wandering. The question is, what is a vegetarian?
You know, Mr. Howard, I saw a vegetarian on the street the other day.
Well, fine. How did you know he was a vegetarian?
He had a cauliflower ear.
He had a cauliflower ear.
He had a cauliflower... Oh!
Well, there he goes. Cauliflower ear. I think now we could stand a nice number by Dr. Novick and his orchestra. Played by Dr. Novick, and very nice, too. Have we another guest this evening, Ken Roberts?
Yes, we have, Mr. Howard, and this next guest is Sergeant Estelle Wolf of the Women's Army Corps.
Good evening, Miss Wolf, and welcome to A Pace Bigger. How are you feeling this evening?
Fine, thank you, Mr. Howard.
Well, that's very nice. You look real fine. Where is your hometown, would you care to tell us?
Miami Beach, Florida.
Miami Beach, Florida. My. Swell place, been there many times. In fact, I stopped at one of those hotels down there with my wife last winter. Very swanky place. Very swanky. In fact, it was so swanky they made me shave before they let me in the barber shop. Give you an idea how swanky. Then they finally asked my wife and I to leave. My wife and I had an argument rather the wife and the clerk. They wouldn't let my wife hang her wash in the lobby. That kind of made her a little angry. We're mighty glad to have you with us.
The whole trip was a washout, then.
Oh, never mind. I thought you had gone home, Mr. Shelton.
No, I'm still here.
What did you do before you entered the service, Miss?
I did office work.
Office work?
That's right.
Stenographer, bookkeeper?
Stenography and typing.
Oh, I see. Fine. You take shorthand, things
That's
like
right.
My wife used to be a stenographer, but she don't seem to take dictation anymore. I don't know what...
I have a very nice girl, Mr. Howard.
What's that?
I had a very nice girl once. She was stenographer, whatever that. One of those...
She used a typewriter.
Typewriter, yeah. Very nice girl. I used to take her to the theater, take her around nightclubs. I remember when we go to the theater.
Uh-huh.
Oh, what a night. We used to eat chocolates and sit in the box.
Eat chocolates and sit
Say, didn't that ruin the chocolate?
Oh, never mind. Pay no attention to these three, which, they're at that mischievous age. May I ask...
This Wolf looks awfully nice, in her uniform, doesn't she?
She looks very cute in her uniform.
Yeah, it's amazing what this war has done for our young women.
Just what do you mean, Mr.
I never thought I'd live to see the day when thousands of women would be happy wearing the same dresses.
I see what you mean.
You know, Miss Wolf, I'm going to join the waves.
You are?
Yes, I am. Do you think they'd take waves at my size?
Miss McConnell, there's not enough water to make a wave your size. As I said before, we're very glad to have you with us, but tell me something. What are you doing in New York? Just visiting?
That's right. I'm on furlough.
On a furlough in New York.
Right.
How long have you been here?
I've been here a week now.
Week. Are you enjoying yourself?
Very much, thank you.
Have you ever been to New York before?
Yes, I have.
Oh, I see. Then you know quite a little about our village then. Have you met any nice boys in New York?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet? My, oh, my. And you've been here a week?
That's right.
Oh, you must be walking upside streets. You say you're from Miami. What would you say, just for the sake we got a little time here, we might as well use it up. How do you compare the boys in Miami with the boys in New York? Are you married? Are you married?
No, I'm single.
Well, then you can answer that. How do you compare the boys in New York with the boys in Miami?
I don't try to compare them, Mr. Howard.
Oh, you don't try to compare them. Well, I can't say anything about that. You should make a little effort and try to compare which boy you like the best or which you don't. To give us an idea, we're making a survey on that, see? Well, anyhow, we're very glad to have you with us. You have what is that, technician on there?
That's right. Technician 4th grade.
And what's that colorful stuff on the arm?
The Armored School, Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Fort Knox?
That's
right. Oh, I see. That's where all that gold is, Fort Knox.
That's right.
Yeah.
They have a lot of bullion down there.
Yeah. Yeah, they do have a lot of bullion. The next time I'm down there, I'm going to try and get myself a bowl of soup. You know,
If she's from Fort Knox, I'd like to borrow a couple of bucks or something.
Never mind. She don't get that close to the vault, I don't think, do you?
No, I'm afraid I don't.
Well, we're very glad to have you with us. Would you do us a favor now and reach into the dunce cap there and pick out a question for us, if you will, please? And when you get a question, would you kindly read it, if you will?
What is the basic theory of the law of relativity?
It was Christmas if you guys would ever get one of these questions right that we ask on these programs. But I'm going to tell you something for your information. Things are going to be very different next week. I'm getting an expert up here that has some intelligence.
Who, Mr. Howard?
Patsy Kelly.
You mean Patsy Kelly can answer these questions?
Yes.
Well, that I gotta hear.
All right.
Yeah, I think I'll tune in myself next week. Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to hear it, too. What's
All right. you narrated that very nicely.
Well, certainly not knowing navigator's a chap who flies an airplane.
No, that's aviator.
Oh, I know that much. Navigator is a man who explains the newsreels.
Now, that is narrator, Mr. Sheldon.
Oh, no, a narrator is a person who tells lies.
You're talking about a fabricator.
Oh, you're crazy. A fabricator is an animal that swims in the swamps in Florida.
No, that's alligator, a big clumsy animal with big mouth, big body, short legs, so big it just has to waddle around.
Now we're back to Miss McConnell again.
Now you know what we mean, folks, when we say...
It pays to be ignorant, to be dumb, to be dense, to be ignorant. It pays to be ignorant, just like me. I never mention our planes or ships or our tanks. Old Adolf never learns a thing to hurt our fighting Yanks. So you see, it pays to be ignorant. Have no brain, be insane, be ignorant. It pays to be ignorant, just like me.
This is the Armed Forces Radio Service.